I woke up in a strange room after falling off a cliff at Mount Ame. Somehow, I traveled to another world and got a system that multiplies all my training experience by 100 times. This world is called Shinwu Continent, where strength is everything. Warriors have many levels, starting from body tempering up to God Sea Realm. The body I took over belongs to Jiang Chun, the only son of the Jiang family head in Songshan City. But this body has poor talent. At 15 years old, I'm only at body tempering level 2, the weakest among all the young disciples. Yesterday, a powerful place called Lingyun Martial Palace sent me a token to join them. But a talented cousin named Jiang Yunhong got jealous, beat me badly, stole the token, and left me locked in my room to die. When I found all this out, I punched the wall in anger, and the system instantly maxed out my basic fist technique and upgraded it to a real martial skill called Stone-Breaking Fist. Earlier, just taking one step had already upgraded my footwork into a movement skill called Flowing Light Step. Everything I do gives me 100 times the normal experience. In this world, martial skills have 4 ranks: Yellow, Mystic, Earth, and Heaven. If just walking and punching can level up skills this fast, I can become incredibly strong just by doing simple things. So I calmed myself down and started cultivating right away. I started cultivating, and every minute gave me 100 times the normal experience. In just a few minutes, I broke through from body tempering level 2 to level 3. The previous owner of this body had been stuck at level 2 for almost 2 years, but I did it in minutes. Then I had an idea. What if I took a pill? I swallowed a low-grade power pill, the cheapest kind that isn't even ranked. The system went crazy. It gave me 100 times 100 experience, and I instantly jumped 3 levels, reaching body tempering level 6. The strongest young disciple in the Jiang family besides the genius who already left, Jiang Yunhong, is only at level 5. I've already surpassed him. I knew Jiang Yunhong was planning to take my token and go to Lingyun Martial Palace today. I wasn't going to let that happen. I got up and headed for the door. But outside in the courtyard, a big guard named Jiang Quan was blocking the gate. He's one of Jiang Yunhong's loyal men. He told me I couldn't leave. Orders from the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder is Jiang Qianhe, Jiang Yunhong's grandfather. It became clear to me that the old man was behind everything, probably even ordering Jiang Yunhong to attack me last night. My father may be the family head, but he's been away for years, and his power in the family has slipped away. I told Jiang Quan to get out of my way. He refused, so I slapped him and sent him flying. The system chimed in again. My basic palm technique reached perfection and upgraded to a yellow rank skill called Wind-Breaking Palm. Jiang Quan touched his burning face in shock. He couldn't believe that I, the so-called waste, dared to hit him. Even more unbelievable to him was that I was standing perfectly fine after being nearly beaten to death by Jiang Yunhong last night. He jumped up in rage and threw his full power punch at me, but I just stood there calmly with my hands behind my back. When his fist got close, I reached out 2 fingers and caught his wrist like I was picking up a leaf. He couldn't believe it. He screamed that it was impossible and attacked again. I used my stone-breaking fist and sent him flying like a broken kite. He didn't get up. After that, I walked toward the family's inner courtyard plaza. Every step I took gave my movement skill huge experience. By the time I reached the edge of the plaza, my flowing light step had already maxed out and upgraded to a yellow mid-rank skill called Meteor Step. At this rate, my footwork could soon reach Mystic rank, which is incredibly rare. Even our entire Jiang family only has 1 Mystic rank technique, and it's treated as our greatest treasure. Then I heard a familiar voice. Jiang Yunhong was standing in the middle of the plaza, saying goodbye to his grandfather, Grand Elder Jiang Qianhe. He was promising to train hard at Lingyun Martial Palace. The other family disciples watched him with envy. My expression turned cold. I walked straight toward the center of the plaza and let my voice ring out for everyone to hear. Jiang Yunhong, the chance to enter Lingyun Martial Palace is mine. You have no right to take what belongs to me. My cold voice drew everyone's attention. The Jiang family disciples started whispering and mocking me. They called me the waste young master and laughed at the idea that I could take back anything. They said with my father gone, the Grand Elder controls everything, so I have no chance. Jiang Yunhong glared at me with disgust. He admitted the spot at Lingyun Martial Palace was something my father had worked hard to get for the family, but said I was a born waste still stuck at body tempering level 2, so I didn't deserve it. I shot right back at him. I reminded everyone that he had failed the Martial Palace entrance exam 3 months ago. In the Great Xia Kingdom, there are 9 territories, each with a martial palace that trains warriors. Lingyun Martial Palace is the dream of every warrior in our region, and passing its exam is incredibly difficult. Only 1 in 10,000 makes it. Jiang Yinhong failed because of carelessness, and now this token my father got is his only way in since he's already 16 and can't retake the exam. When I brought up his failure in front of everyone, his face turned dark with anger. He argued he's still stronger than someone who spent 2 years stuck at level 2. Then he made a bold offer. If I can beat him in a fight, he'll hand over the spot willingly. I looked at him calmly and said his words actually sounded reasonable for once. Then I turned to Grand Elder Jiang Qianhe and asked if he agreed. The old man nodded, confident his grandson couldn't possibly lose to someone like me. I smiled and curled my finger at Jiang Yinhong. Come out and fight me then. The whole plaza went into an uproar when I challenged Jiang Yinhong. Everyone stared at me like I was crazy. They whispered that I must have lost my mind. How could a waste stuck at body tempering level 2 dare to challenge someone at level 5? They were sure I was walking to my death. Jiang Yinhong was also stunned. Just last night, he had beaten me like a dog with 1 punch. He couldn't understand where I got the courage. I told him to stop talking and fight. My things are not for just anyone to take. His anger exploded and he charged at me, throwing a punch at my head. The other disciples looked at me with pity, expecting me to be crushed. But I activated my flowing light step and easily dodged his fist with a simple sidestep. Everyone's jaws dropped. Jiang Yinhong told himself it was just luck. I mocked him openly. His punch was flashy but slow, and no wonder Lingyun Martial Palace rejected him. He went mad with rage and threw a second punch with everything he had. This time I didn't even move my feet. I just raised my hand and blocked it effortlessly. I looked him in the eye and smiled. His first punch was too slow, his second was too weak. I told him that if I'm a waste, then he's even less than a waste. So what right does he have to enter Lingyun Martial Palace? His face turned white with disbelief. He couldn't accept that I blocked his full power attack so easily, and even had the nerve to critique his technique. He had always been considered one of the top talents among the Jiang family youth, and now a so-called waste was looking down on him. Burning with shame and fury, he shouted and unleashed his real martial skill, a yellow rank technique called Tiger Roar Fist. His fist surged with fierce energy, striking toward me like a pouncing tiger. The crowd mocked me again, saying Jiang Yinhong was finally getting serious with his Tiger Roar Fist, which he had already trained to a decent level. Combined with his body tempering level 5 strength, they were sure I was finished. They said I was digging my own grave by provoking him. Jiang Yinhong came at me with killing intent in his eyes. This spot at Lingyun Martial Palace was his only chance, and he wouldn't let anyone stand in his way. I stayed calm. I gathered my strength into my fist and called out my own technique, Stone-Breaking Fist. Our fists collided head-on with a loud bang in front of everyone. One of us screamed and flew backward, crashing hard onto the ground several meters away. Everyone assumed it was me. They shook their heads, thinking a level 2 waste had no business challenging a level 5 fighter. But then they saw who was actually lying on the ground. It was Jiang Yinhong. The entire plaza went silent, then erupted into shock. I had beaten Jiang Yinhong with a single punch and sent him flying with serious injuries. The disciples couldn't believe what they just saw. They said I was like a silent bird that suddenly sings and stuns everyone. Grand Elder Jiang Qianhe was just as shocked. He knew me as the famous waste of the Jiang family, someone who had been stuck at level 2 for 2 years. Just last night, his grandson beat me easily. How could I transform overnight into someone who could defeat a level 5 fighter? While the old man was still processing his shock, I walked over to Jiang Yinhong and looked down at him. I spoke calmly so everyone could hear. Jiang Yinhong, you lost. Hand over the Lingyun Martial Palace token. Jiang Yinhong spat blood and refused to accept his loss. He screamed that he couldn't possibly lose to a waste like me, then scrambled to his feet and charged at me again like a madman. Before I could strike back, Grand Elder Jiang Qianhe appeared between us like a ghost. I asked him coldly if the Great Elder was going to break his word. He stared at me for a long moment, then turned to his grandson and ordered him to hand over the token. The old man didn't want to, but he had no choice. I had shown strength beyond Jiang Yunhong, and if he went back on his word now, other family members would turn against him. Jiang Yunhong begged his grandfather, insisting he hadn't really lost, but Jiang Qianhe shouted him down and told him to stop embarrassing himself. Jiang Yunhong handed over the token with a face full of bitterness. I snatched it from his hand and walked straight out of the Jiang family gates in front of everyone. I decided to head to Lingyun Martial Palace immediately. Staying at the Jiang family home would only give Jiang Qianhe and his grandson a chance to plot against me. Once I'm inside the Martial Palace, they can't touch me. The Martial Palace is in Lingyun City, not far from Tsongshan City. I walked for half a day to get there. During that entire walk, every step gave me movement skill experience. My footwork kept upgrading, from yellow mid-rank meteor step to yellow high-rank flowing cloud step, and finally it broke through to mystic rank, becoming a technique called flowing light phantom step. I achieved a mystic rank skill just by walking. Mystic techniques are rare, powerful, and extremely hard to learn. Even among Martial Palace students, mastering one at the body tempering stage would make someone a rare genius. With this skill and my level 6 strength, my speed could match warriors at level 8 or even 9. Just as I was enjoying this breakthrough, a mocking voice called out to me from nearby. I was surprised to hear someone calling my name. I looked over and saw a well-dressed young man walking out of the Martial Palace. It was Lin Yang, from the Lin family, one of the 3 great families of Tsongshan City. Lin Yang and I go way back. He used to be a famous waste just like me, and we never got along. We even got into fights before, but he was luckier than me. He has a genius older brother named Lin Yu who made it onto the Lingyun rankings inside the Martial Palace. Students on that ranking list get the privilege of recommending one person to enter the palace, so Lin Yang got in through his brother. I glanced at him and kept walking. With my system now, I had no interest in wasting time on someone like him, but he couldn't stand being ignored. He rushed in front of me and blocked my path. I told him coldly that he only got into the Martial Palace because of his brother, so he had no reason to act superior. He sneered and said he wasn't the same person anymore. In 6 months at the Martial Palace, with his brother's help, he had gone from body tempering level 2 to level 4. Other students started gathering around to watch. They recognized Lin Yang and whispered about me, calling me a level 2 waste who was looking for trouble. They said picking a fight with Lin Yang was basically asking to die, since he's stronger than me and has a powerful brother backing him up. Lin Yang smiled proudly at their words. He told me to kneel down and beg for mercy if I knew what was good for me, or he'd beat me so badly my own mother wouldn't recognize me. I looked at him without any expression. Go ahead and try. But I promise, the one who ends up unrecognizable will be you. The crowd couldn't believe what I said. They called me an idiot for talking tough without the strength to back it up. Lin Yang was furious, but laughed through his anger. He challenged me to fight on the official arena, since the Martial Palace forbids private fighting. I didn't want to bother with him, but since he insisted on humiliating himself, I agreed and suggested we add a bet to make it interesting. Lin Yang was thrilled. He pulled out a jade bottle containing a body-tempering pill, a first-grade pill worth over 10,000 gold coins. It can massively boost a body-tempering warrior's strength, far more powerful than the low-grade power pill I used before. He said if I win, the pill is mine, but if I lose, I owe him one. Everyone around us thought Lin Yang was just trying to scam me out of an expensive pill, and that I was an idiot for walking right into it. A level 4 fighter against a level 2 waste. Who could possibly lose that bet? But I smiled. This was exactly what I wanted. With that pill and my 100 times system, my power would skyrocket again. Lin Yang was basically delivering treasure to my doorstep. I accepted the bet, and everyone thought I'd gone insane. Lin Yang was overjoyed and wanted to head to the arena right away. But I told him we didn't need to go anywhere. We could settle it right here. He protested that private fighting would get us expelled. I told him to calm down. We wouldn't fight. We'd compete using footwork instead. I held up one finger. I won't attack. Within 10 moves, if you can touch me even once, I lose. Everyone laughed at me, saying a level 2 waste daring to give a level 4 fighter a 10-move handicap was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. Some said it would be over in 1 move. Lin Yang glared at me with a twisted smile. He said he'd make me pay for all the times I humiliated him before. I stood with my hands behind my back and told him to stop talking and start moving. He lunged at me, reaching for my shoulder. But the moment he got close, I activated my flowing light phantom step and vanished from his sight. When he turned around, I was standing 3 meters to his left. His face twitched. He charged again at full speed, but I disappeared once more. 2 attacks, and he hadn't even touched my clothes. He went completely mad, refusing to believe a level 2 waste could be faster than him. He chased me like a wild animal, but I moved effortlessly, like I was just taking a casual stroll. He couldn't touch a single hair on me. The crowd was stunned. They realized my movement skill was at least as good as yellow high rank, maybe better. Some of them said I was no waste at all. I was clearly a hidden genius pretending to be weak. They called it a classic case of a pig pretending to be helpless while secretly being a tiger. The 10 moves passed quickly. Lin Yang stood there panting, eyes burning with rage, knowing I had played him again. I crossed my arms and smiled at him. 10 moves are up. A bet is a bet. Hand over the body tempering pill. His face was dark as he threw the pill at me. He warned me this wasn't over, then turned and stormed off. After entering Lingyun Martial Palace, I quickly learned how the place works. It's divided into an inner and outer palace. The inner palace is for elite students and those on the Lingyun rankings. The outer palace has 3 class levels: bronze, silver, and gold. Gold students are exceptional talents. Silver students passed the entrance exam on their own merit. Bronze students got in through connections and back doors. Naturally, I was placed in the lowest bronze class. My roommate is a chubby guy named Tang Sheng. He helped me settle in and told me about an alchemy class that afternoon for bronze students. I thought it sounded interesting, so we went together. The classroom was packed with nearly 100 bronze students, including Lin Yang. He sneered and asked if I even knew what alchemy was. I told him I probably knew more than he did, and offered to bet another body-tempering pill if he disagreed. He shut up immediately. The other students whispered about how I'd already won a pill from Lin Yang that morning. Then the instructor walked in, a beautiful woman in her 20s named Su Lingxiang. The room went completely silent. She's a famous alchemy genius and already a 3rd-rank alchemist, which commands enormous respect in the entire Martial Palace. She announced she would personally demonstrate pill refining today. She placed a small furnace and ingredients on the platform and began making a basic power pill. She explained each step, heating the furnace evenly, adding ingredients in order, forming the liquid, then condensing the pill. The whole process was smooth and flawless, taking only a few minutes. The moment I watched her finish, my system chimed. Observing a 3rd-rank alchemist gave me 100 times 100 experience, and I instantly became a 1st-rank alchemist. Massive alchemy knowledge flooded into my mind. I just watched someone make pills once and became a real alchemist. This system keeps getting more incredible. After the demonstration, instructor Su Lingxiang looked at us and made an exciting offer. Any bronze student who could successfully refine a power pill right now would be promoted to silver class. The room exploded with excitement. Bronze students are the lowest rank, and normally we'd never get a chance to move up. This was a rare shortcut. Several students rushed up to try, all full of confidence, but every one of them failed miserably. Even Lin Yang tried, but he couldn't control the heat, and his furnace exploded. Su Lingxiang looked disappointed. She used to be a bronze student herself and had a soft spot for us, hoping to discover hidden talent. But no one had impressed her. When nobody else wanted to go up, I stood from my seat. Lin Yang immediately mocked me, saying I was brand new and hadn't even studied alchemy for a single day. He said if he couldn't do it after months of learning, there was no way I could. I told him that just because he failed doesn't mean I will. He got angry and made a bold claim. If I actually managed to refine a power pill, he'd kneel down and serve me tea as his master. I laughed and told him he wasn't even qualified to be my disciple. He was so furious he nearly choked. He turned to Su Lingxiang and begged her to kick me out, saying I was just causing trouble and knew nothing about alchemy. I looked at him with impatience and said if I successfully refined the pill, he has to get out of the classroom. Lin Yang sneered and said he wanted to see me try. I ignored him and walked up to the platform. When I started, the system triggered a new bonus, 100 times success rate. That meant my chances of failing were basically 0. Combined with my 1st-rank alchemist knowledge, refining a simple unranked power pill was child's play. I heated the furnace, added the ingredients in order, and controlled the fire precisely. Every step was smooth and natural. almost matching Su Lingxiang's own demonstration. In just a few minutes, a sweet medicinal fragrance filled the classroom. The pill was done. The system chimed again. The experience from refining this pill pushed me straight up to second-rank alchemist. Just 15 minutes ago, I knew nothing about alchemy. Now I was a genuine second-rank alchemist. The whole classroom erupted. Students were shouting in disbelief. They couldn't believe I pulled it off so easily on my first day. Some laughed at Lin Yang for claiming I didn't know anything about alchemy. Lin Yang himself looked like he was losing his mind. First I was stronger than him in combat, and now I was better at alchemy too. But the most surprised person was Su Lingxiang. She noticed that my technique was flawless, and more importantly, she saw that I used a real alchemist's condensation seal in the final step. That meant my alchemy skill had already reached first-rank level. She was thrilled. She had actually found a real alchemy genius in the bronze class. She smiled at me and made another offer. If I could refine a body-tempering pill, a first-grade pill, she would promote me directly to gold class. She wanted to test whether my skills were truly at the first-rank level. I wasn't really interested in the gold class promotion. With my system, reaching the Lingyun rankings would be easy enough. But free materials to practice alchemy? I wasn't going to turn that down. I smiled and told her I'd give it a try. Students couldn't believe I was actually going to try refining a body-tempering pill. Lin Yang mocked me loudly, saying I just got lucky with the power pill and had no business attempting a first-grade pill that even real alchemists struggle with. I didn't care. As a second-rank alchemist with the system's 100 times success rate, failure was almost impossible. I checked the materials on the platform and noticed 2 ingredients were missing: bone-forging grass and blood-tear flower. I asked Su Lingxiang to provide them, and she took them out from her storage ring without hesitation. I began refining. Everything went smoothly for the first 10 minutes as I added all the ingredients into the furnace. But then a breeze blew in through the classroom door and disrupted my flame. The furnace started shaking violently, a clear sign it was about to explode. Su Lingxiang shook her head in regret. She said my process had been nearly perfect, and without that wind, I would have had an 80 or 90% chance of success. This is exactly why most alchemists work in sealed rooms. But I wasn't done. I quickly grabbed a sun flame grass from the table and tore off 2 leaves, dropping them into the furnace. The shaking stopped instantly. Su Lingxiang's eyes went wide with shock. Lin Yang burst out laughing, saying sunflame grass isn't even an ingredient for the body-tempering pill, so I obviously didn't know what I was doing. I ignored him completely and formed the condensation seal. A rich medicinal fragrance, much stronger than before, poured out of the furnace. The system told me I'd earned massive experience and jumped straight to third-rank alchemist. I opened the furnace, pulled out a small pill, and grinned at Lin Yang. Sorry to disappoint you. I succeeded again. Lin Yang stared at the pill in my hand like he'd swallowed a fly. The whole classroom buzzed with shock and envy. I had just been promoted to gold class on my very first day. Su Lingxiang asked me how I knew to add those 2 sun flame grass leaves. I told her it was instinct. I explained that when heat is lacking, you make up for it with extra medicinal power, a principle passed down by ancient alchemists. The wind had weakened my furnace's heat, so I compensated with the grass. The truth is, whenever I refine pills, the system's 100 times success rate makes the best solution appear in my mind automatically. But I obviously couldn't tell her about the system. She was amazed. She understood the principle of compensating heat with ingredients. But knowing exactly which herb to use and how much to add in that kind of emergency is incredibly difficult. Even she, a third-rank alchemist, couldn't have done it so precisely. She said if I could do all that by instinct, I was a genius among geniuses, a monster among monsters. Then she made me an incredible offer. She wanted to introduce me to her teacher, Yan Qingxian, a 6th-rank alchemy grandmaster famous across the entire Great Xia Kingdom. She said she could get me accepted as his final disciple. The whole classroom went crazy. Yan Qingxian is a legendary figure that most alchemists can only dream of meeting. Becoming his disciple would be like leaping over the Dragon Gate. But I turned her down. I told her I wanted to focus on martial arts, and alchemy was just a side hobby. With my system, I could become an all-around genius. Limiting myself to just alchemy would be a waste. Everyone stared at me like I was insane. Even Su Lingxiang was speechless for a moment. Then she got angry, saying that with my talent, Not focusing on alchemy was a crime against myself, my parents, and the whole world. Su Lingxiang's words left me speechless. She lectured me seriously, saying a person's energy is limited and that many talented people who tried to master everything ended up mediocre at all of it. She didn't want me to waste my gift. I thanked her for the advice, but told her I still wanted to achieve something in martial arts. She was frustrated and gave up trying to convince me. She said she'd process my promotion to gold class soon, then stormed off. I figured she'd probably go tell her teacher Yin Qingxian about me and let him deal with the headache. After she left, I turned to Lin Yang and reminded him of our deal. I told him it was time to get out of the classroom. He snorted coldly and turned to walk away without a word. I stopped him. I told him he was supposed to roll out, not walk out. Did he know the difference? If not, I'd be happy to teach him. He was shaking with anger and shouted that I was going too far. I told him he could either roll out on his own or I'd make him. He scoffed, not believing I'd actually dare to touch him, and kept walking toward the door. He warned me his brother would never let me get away with it. My eyes turned cold. I activated my flowing light phantom step, appeared beside him in an instant, and slapped his shoulder. He stumbled and fell to the ground. Before he could get up, I bent his arms and legs together, then gave him a clean kick on the backside. His body rolled out of the classroom like a ball. The entire class stood frozen in silence. I actually made Lin Yang roll out of the room. After class, I had a simple dinner and went back to my room. I knew Lin Yang wouldn't let today go. He's not the type to give up easily. I wasn't worried about him personally, but his older brother Lin Yu is a real threat. Lin Yu was once the top genius of Tsongshan City. After entering the Martial Palace a year ago, he quickly made it into the Inner Palace and earned a spot on the Lingyun rankings. Only warriors who've broken through to the Qi Control realm can even qualify for the Inner Palace, and the lowest ranked person on the Lingyun rankings is at least Qi Control level 4. Right now, I'd have no chance against someone like that. I took a deep breath and pulled out my 3 pills, the body tempering pill I won from Lin Yang, plus the power pill and body tempering pill I refined in class. I swallowed the power pill first and jumped to body tempering level 7. Then I popped both body tempering pills like candy. The system went wild with notifications. I shot through levels 8 and 9, and then broke straight through into Qi Control level 1. A powerful stream of energy appeared in my core and spread through my entire body. In one night, I went from body tempering level 6 all the way to Qi Control level 1. I was now qualified to join the Inner Palace. I got familiar with my new strength and fell asleep feeling great. The next morning, Su Lingxiang sent me a gold class identity badge. I cleaned up and headed to the gold students' living area. The difference between bronze and gold housing is massive. Bronze students share cramped rooms, while gold students each get their own private courtyard. I was assigned courtyard number 68. But when I arrived at the door, a big, muscular young man walked out and blocked my path. He told me he wanted this courtyard for himself and that I should go find somewhere else. I was surprised by this guy's arrogance. He told me his name was Meng Dongxing. I recognized it immediately. He's the #1 gold student in the entire Outer Palace, a famous genius whose strength is at the peak of body tempering level 9, just one step away from breaking into the Qi Control realm. I couldn't figure out why someone I'd never met would come looking for trouble. I told him politely that this courtyard was assigned to me by the Martial Palace, and taking it wasn't right. He didn't care. He said he was tired of his old place and wanted mine. In his words, anything he wants is his, and nobody can say otherwise. I told him coldly that this is my place, and he has no say here. He should get lost. Other students quickly gathered to watch. They were shocked that anyone would dare stand up to Meng Dongxing. They thought I must be out of my mind. Then Meng Dongxing revealed his real reason. He called me a trash bronze student who got lucky with a gold promotion. He mentioned that I'd beaten Lin Yu's little brother on my first day. He said he was here to teach me a lesson on Lin Yu's behalf. Now it all made sense. This guy wasn't really after my courtyard. He was one of Lin Yu's followers, coming to get revenge for Lin Yang. I laughed coldly and called him what he was, just another dog following Lin Yu's orders. Then I ignored him and walked toward my courtyard. His eyes turned murderous. He roared that nobody in the Outer Palace had ever dared speak to him like that. His fingers curled like an eagle's talons, and he struck at my throat with lightning speed, intent on killing me. Many students closed their eyes when Meng Dongxing attacked. Sure, I was about to be destroyed. But I activated my flowing light phantom step and dodged his eagle claw strike easily, appearing several meters away in an instant. Everyone's eyes went wide. Meng Dongxing stared at me and admitted he had underestimated me. I warned him that the martial palace forbids private fighting and he could be expelled. He laughed and said rules are made for the weak. He bragged that even if he crippled me, the palace would only give him a warning at most. They'd never expel their top gold student over someone like me. I looked at him with contempt and told him he wasn't worth mentioning in my eyes. I said we had no grudge between us, but since he chose to be someone else's dog and come after me, we should settle this properly on the arena. Then I told him I was taking his title as the #1 gold student. Everyone looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Meng Dongxing is at the peak of body tempering level 9, has mastered a mystic rank technique, and once fought a chi control level 1 warrior without losing. Half a year ago, the second-ranked gold student challenged him and got destroyed. And here I was, a newly promoted gold student, openly challenging him. Meng Dongxing laughed in fury and told me to bring it on. He marched toward the arena, and I followed without hesitation. Word spread fast through the martial palace, and within 10 minutes, hundreds of students packed the plaza around the fighting stage. They all stared at me standing across from Meng Dongxing, shaking their heads at what they thought was my foolishness. Meng Dongxing stood on the stage and said he admired my courage. He formed hand seals and a golden shield of light appeared around his body, a mystic rank defensive technique called the Golden Light Shield. He told me I could have the first 3 moves. If I could break his shield in 3 attacks, he'd admit defeat. The crowd went wild praising him. They said his shield could even withstand hits from chi control level 1 warriors. They pitted me, thinking I'd be crushed in minutes. I laughed inside. He wanted to show off his defense in front of me. I'd show him what happens when you try to act tough against the wrong person. But I had a problem. Even though I'd already broken through to chi control level 1 and was stronger than him, all my attack skills were still yellow low rank. His mystic rank shield could probably handle those. I needed to upgrade a technique first. So I started throwing punches into the air on the stage. Every punch gave me experience through the system. My stone-breaking fist upgraded to earth-splitting fist at yellow mid-rank, then kept climbing to mountain-cleaving fist at yellow high rank. The crowd was completely confused. They thought I was crazy, just standing there punching at nothing. Someone yelled at Meng Dongxing to just finish me off. Meng Dongxing's face darkened and he asked what I was doing. I grinned and told him I was just warming up before the fight. Was there a rule against that? He demanded to know how long I'd keep this up and told me to kneel and surrender if I was scared. I told him I wasn't scared. I was actually doing him a favor, letting him enjoy his title as #1 for a few more minutes. I said in 5 minutes, we'd settle this for good. Meng Dongxing agreed to wait 5 minutes. In that time, I threw several hundred more punches. The system kept chiming with every swing, and finally my mountain-cleaving fist reached perfection and upgraded to a mystic rank technique, sky-breaking fist. When the 5 minutes were up, Meng Dongxing told me to start. I smiled and asked if he was really sure about giving me 3 free moves. He said confidently that even if he gave me 30 moves, it wouldn't matter. His golden light shield could handle attacks from chi control level 1 warriors, so a nobody like me had no chance. I held up one finger. I told him 3 moves were way too many. 1 punch was all I needed to destroy him. The whole crowd erupted. People thought it was the funniest joke they'd heard all year. Even most inner palace students couldn't break Meng Dongxing's defense in 1 punch. Who did I think I was? Meng Dongxing laughed coldly and said that while someone in the martial palace might be able to do it, that someone definitely wasn't me. I told him to watch carefully. I unleashed my full chi control level 1 power. Silver energy gathered on my fist and formed a massive silver fist shadow in the air, towering over the stage. Without hesitation, I threw everything into 1 strike. Sky-breaking fist, shatter. The silver fist shadow tore through the air like a bolt of thunder, crashing toward Meng Dongxing with overwhelming force. His eyes went wide with terror. He never imagined that a former bronze-class nobody could have this kind of power, chi control realm strength combined with a mystic rank attack technique. Meng Dongxing gritted his teeth and poured everything into his golden light shield. But my silver fist shadow smashed into it and shattered it instantly like glass. He flew off the stage like a broken kite and crashed to the ground several meters away, coughing up blood. His eyes were filled with pure terror. He finally realized I had chi control level 1 strength and a mystic rank technique, power that surpasses even some inner palace students. The entire crowd was stunned silent. The mighty number 1 gold student had truly been destroyed in a single punch by a complete nobody. I looked down at him coldly and told him to go back and deliver a message to his master Linyu. If Linyu wants trouble with me, he should come himself next time. Then I left the plaza. I didn't go back to my courtyard. Instead, I walked out of the martial palace gates into Lingyun City. I knew Linyu would probably come after me personally soon. I needed to get stronger fast, and the quickest way was to earn money, buy alchemy materials, and refine pills to boost my cultivation with the system's 100 times multiplier. I found a shop called Treasure Pill Pavilion that was hiring alchemists. A young woman at the counter greeted me warmly. I told her I wasn't there to buy anything. I was applying for the alchemist position. She was surprised by how young I looked, but didn't disrespect me. She wanted to get a manager. A middle-aged man came out, looked me over, and his expression soured immediately. He said they only hire first-rank alchemists at minimum and asked if I had a certification badge. Then he waved me off impatiently, saying I was just a kid wasting his time. I told the middle-aged man not to look down on people. He laughed angrily and demanded I show him an alchemist badge. I glanced at the copper badge on his chest with 2 stars and realized that's how alchemists prove their rank in this world, through the Alchemist Guild certification. I admitted I didn't have a badge. He smirked and said if I could produce one, he'd not only hire me, but give me his position as the pavilion's chief alchemist. Other customers in the shop started mocking me too, calling me an idiot for pretending to be an alchemist without even having a badge. I wasn't bothered. I looked at his 2-star badge and said he must be a second-rank alchemist. He puffed up with pride and confirmed it. I told him that wasn't impressive at all. He'd spent decades learning alchemy and was still only second rank. That was pretty pathetic. Everyone stared at me like I was crazy. Second-rank alchemists are rare in the entire Lingyun region, and this man, Zhu Mingyuan, is actually well known in Lingyun City as a top second-rank alchemist. Yet here I was, a teenager, openly calling him useless. Zhu Mingyuan's face turned ice cold. He gave me 10 seconds to get out of the shop or face the consequences. I told him he was nothing but a waste who spent his whole life stuck at second rank. Even without a badge, I was better than him. He exploded with rage and called for his people to throw me out. But right at that moment, a sharp voice shouted, "Wait," from the entrance. Everyone turned to look. A slightly chubby young man walked in. When I saw who it was, I froze for a moment. What was he doing here? The chubby young man who walked in was none other than Tang Sheng, my roommate from the Martial Palace. I was surprised to see him, and even more surprised when everyone recognized him as the young master of Treasure Pill Pavilion. His father is the owner of the whole shop. Tang Sheng greeted me warmly in front of everyone, which shocked the crowd. Zhu Mingyuan's face turned even uglier. Tang Sheng asked what was going on, and Zhu Mingyuan explained that I had no alchemist badge and was causing trouble. Tang Sheng's expression hardened. He said the pavilion had no rule requiring a badge for applications. He told Zhu Mingyuan that my alchemy skills were extraordinary. Even Su Lingxiang was amazed by my talent, and I was a candidate to become Grandmaster Yin Qingshuan's disciple. Having me as an alchemist would be an honor for the pavilion. Zhu Mingyuan pushed back. He said Tang Sheng's father gave him full authority over hiring, and he wouldn't allow unqualified people to damage the pavilion's reputation. He demanded I prove myself by refining a first-grade pill in front of him. Otherwise, if Tang Sheng insisted on hiring me, he'd quit. Tang Sheng's face darkened at the threat, but Zhu Mingyuan stood firm, saying everything he did was for the pavilion's sake. Then Zhu Mingyuan turned to me and told me to show what I've got. I shrugged and said I wasn't interested in applying for the alchemist position anymore. Everyone thought I'd chickened out. Zhu Mingyuan sneered, and the crowd looked at me with contempt. I smiled coldly and told them they misunderstood. I wasn't backing down. I had my eye on something bigger. I challenged Zhu Mingyuan directly. If he loses to me in an alchemy competition, he hands over his position as chief alchemist of the pavilion. Everyone thought I was insane for challenging a second-rank senior alchemist to an alchemy competition. Even Tang Sheng, who had seen me refine pills before, was worried. Zhu Mingyuan is a second-rank senior alchemist. In Lingyun City, only a few third-rank alchemists could claim to be better than him. Still, Tang Sheng secretly hoped I could win. He never liked Zhu Mingyuan, who used his status to act arrogant and didn't even respect Tang Sheng's father. Zhu Mingyuan looked at me like I'd told the funniest joke of his life. He agreed to the challenge and added his own condition. If I lose, I become his pill slave, serving him for the rest of my life. I accepted without hesitation. He proposed we each refine 10 batches of body-tempering pills and compare our success rates. I asked Tang Sheng to prepare a furnace and 20 sets of ingredients. With my system's 100 times success rate, failure was basically impossible. Comparing success rates with me was like walking straight into a trap. Zhu Mingyuan went first. He's experienced, with over a decade of practice, so refining a first-grade pill wasn't difficult for him. He worked through all 10 batches in a smooth rhythm. When he finished, he had successfully produced 7 pills out of 10, a 70% success rate. He looked at me with a smug, challenging expression. I glanced at his results and shrugged. A second-rank senior alchemist making a basic first-grade pill with only 70% success? Nothing impressive. Zhu Mingyuan told me to stop talking big and match his 70% success rate first. Normally, a first-rank alchemist can only manage about 30% when making first-grade pills. Even second-rank alchemists usually reach 50 or 60%. His 70% was considered impressive, and he was sure I couldn't beat it. I walked to the furnace without another word and started refining. The system triggered its 100 times success rate, as usual. I worked smoothly and produced my first body-tempering pill in about 10 minutes. The crowd was already impressed that I could refine a first-grade pill at all. I kept going without pause. Second pill, third pill, fourth, and on. Each successful refinement gave me massive experience. By the time I finished all 10 batches about an hour later, my alchemist rank had quietly risen to 4th rank. 10 batches, 10 pills. A perfect 100% success rate. Not a single material wasted. The crowd completely lost it. Even some 3rd-rank alchemists couldn't guarantee a perfect rate. Tang Sheng muttered in amazement, saying I truly lived up to Su Lingxiang's praise. Zhu Mingyuan screamed that it was impossible. He refused to accept that someone without even a badge could achieve what even 3rd-rank alchemists struggle with. He insisted I just got lucky. I looked at him calmly and told him that just because he can't do something doesn't mean others can't either. He lost, plain and simple. He kept protesting, red-faced, claiming a 2nd-rank senior alchemist couldn't possibly lose to someone like me. Tang Sheng stepped in with a cold expression and told him to stop being a sore loser. He announced that from today, I am the new chief alchemist of Treasure Pill Pavilion. Zhu Mingyuan's face went dark. He told Tang Sheng that replacing him required his father's approval. Tang Sheng waved that off, saying as the future heir of Treasure Pill Pavilion, his word was enough. Zhu Mingyuan laughed angrily and warned them not to regret this. He reminded everyone that he's the pavilion's only 2nd-rank senior alchemist, and that half the 2nd-grade pills sold here are made by him. I smiled and told him that if he wasn't convinced, we could go again. This time, he should refine the highest-grade pill he could manage, and I'd beat him so thoroughly he'd have nothing left to say. If he won, I'd walk out of the pavilion without a word. He ordered materials for the chi-gathering pill, a top-tier 2nd-grade pill. He was confident because the only way to beat him would be to refine a 3rd-grade pill, and he was absolutely certain I couldn't do that. Tang Sheng pulled me aside and asked nervously if I really wanted to compete again. I told him to relax and prepare the materials. Zhu Mingyuan's alchemy skills weren't enough to beat me. Zhu Mingyuan focused hard and began refining. His first attempt failed due to a mistake with the ingredients. On his 2nd try, he succeeded and proudly held up a completed chi-gathering pill. He smirked at me, sure he had won this time. I looked at him with contempt. He used 2 attempts just to make 1 2nd-grade pill and thought that was impressive? I told him 2nd grade is nothing. I can refine 3rd-grade pills. Everyone was shocked again. Zhu Mingyuan scoffed, saying in all of Lingyun City, the alchemists who can make 3rd-grade pills can be counted on one hand, and they're all veterans who studied for decades. He refused to believe a teenager could do it. I ignored him and asked Tang Sheng to prepare materials for the Innate Spirit Pill, a 3rd-grade high-level pill that can boost an innate realm warrior's strength by an entire level. Everyone gasped. Not only was I attempting a 3rd-grade pill, I was going for a high-level one. And I only asked for 1 set of materials, meaning I planned to succeed on my first try. Even legendary 4th-rank alchemist masters would find that extremely difficult. Tang Sheng muttered something about me being a monster, but quickly had the materials prepared. I walked to the furnace and started without hesitation. The whole process was smooth from start to finish, heating the furnace, adding ingredients, forming and condensing the pill. In less than half an hour, I held up a completed innate spirit pill in front of everyone. The crowd had gone completely numb from shock. A teenager succeeded on his first try with a third-grade high-level pill, while Zhu Mingyuan, who spent over a decade studying alchemy, needed 2 attempts just for a second-grade pill. People said comparing us was like an insult to me. Next to me, Zhu Mingyuan wasn't even worth mentioning. Zhu Mingyuan's face turned white as paper. He realized that even if he spent his entire life trying, he might never be able to refine what I just made so casually. Tang Sheng was speechless too. This morning I defeated the #1 gold student at the Martial Palace, and now I'd crushed a senior second-rank alchemist. He couldn't figure out what kind of monster I was. Tang Sheng was thrilled that I'd be the pavilion's new chief alchemist. He looked at the pale-faced Zhu Mingyuan and asked if he had any objections. Zhu Mingyuan smiled bitterly and admitted I was far above him. He called me Master Jiang and apologized for not recognizing my abilities earlier. He had finally lowered his proud head. As a third-grade high-level alchemist, I was essentially one of the top alchemists in all of Lingyun City. He knew that offending me could ruin his career. I didn't hold a grudge. I told Tang Sheng I'd take the position, but since I'm still a student at the Martial Palace, I couldn't stay at the shop full-time. Tang Sheng understood completely. He said I could just hold the title without being present. He'd deliver materials to my courtyard at the Martial Palace, and I'd get 30% of the profits from my pills. I told him I didn't want money. I wanted 30% of the actual pills I refine instead. He agreed without hesitation. I gave him my address at Courtyard 68 in the Gold Student area and left. Around noon, I stopped at a restaurant called Heavenly Fragrance Tower to eat lunch. Right as I was about to walk in, a cold voice called my name from behind. I turned around and saw 2 familiar faces, Jiang Yunhong and Grand Elder Jiang Qianhe. Jiang Yunhong smirked and bragged that Zhu Mingyuan, the chief alchemist of Treasure Pill Pavilion, had agreed to take him as a disciple. He mocked me, saying even though I entered the Martial Palace, I was just a worthless bronze student with no future, while he would soon become a respected alchemist. I smiled and told him he really shouldn't have come to show off in front of me. That never ends well. I guaranteed him that no alchemist at Treasure Pill Pavilion would be taking him as a disciple. Jiang Yunhong laughed and asked who I thought I was, as if the alchemists at Treasure Pill Pavilion would listen to me. He explained that after I took his spot at the Martial Palace, Grand Elder Jiang Qianhe brought him to Lingyun City to find another path. The old man had pulled strings and spent a lot to get Zhu Mingyuan to accept Jiang Yunhong as his disciple. Jiang Qianhe smugly invited me to stay and witness the ceremony. He figured that once Jiang Yunhong became a second-rank alchemist disciple, his status in the family would soar, while I was just a worthless bronze student with no future. I happily agreed to stay. These 2 had beaten me and stolen my token before. Now that I had a chance to deal with them, I wasn't going to let it pass. A few minutes later, Zhu Mingyuan arrived in his alchemist robes. Jiang Qianhe rushed to greet him with a big smile. Jiang Yunhong bowed deeply and called him teacher. Then Jiang Yunhong sneered at me, demanding I show respect, and bowed to Zhu Mingyuan too. Jiang Qianhe joined in, ordering me to kneel and apologize for being disrespectful to such an important alchemist. I ignored them both and looked at Zhu Mingyuan with an amused smile. I asked him casually whether he thought I should kneel to him. Zhu Mingyuan had spotted me the moment he walked over. He was about to come greet me politely when he heard the grandfather and grandson shouting at me. His face turned extremely ugly. Jiang Yunhong didn't notice Zhu Mingyuan's expression. He kept yelling at me for calling Zhu Mingyuan by his full name, demanding I kneel. But before he could finish his sentence, Zhu Mingyuan marched straight up to Jiang Yunhong and slapped him hard across the face. Jiang Yunhong was completely stunned. Even Jiang Qianhe stood frozen. The person Zhu Mingyuan was supposed to hit was me, the disrespectful one. What on earth was happening? Jiang Yunhong touched his burning cheek and looked at Zhu Mingyuan in disbelief, almost crying. He had been defending his teacher, so why did he get slapped instead? Zhu Mingyuan didn't even glance at Jiang Yunhong. He walked straight to me, bowed respectfully, and called me Master Jiang. He said these 2 didn't know what they were talking about, and that he should be the one apologizing to me, not the other way around. Jiang Yunhong and Jiang Qianhe turned to stone. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. The proud and powerful second-rank senior alchemist Zhu Mingyuan was standing before me like a nervous child, calling me master. I glanced at Jiang Yunhong and casually remarked that his new so-called teacher's disciple seemed even more arrogant than the teacher himself. Zhu Mingyuan immediately turned on Jiang Yunhong. He said he had only come as a favor to a friend and hadn't officially accepted him yet. Then he told Jiang Yunhong he was nothing, that he dared to disrespect the pavilion's master Jiang, and that he would never take him as a disciple. He told him to get lost. Jiang Yunhong went pale. This opportunity was something his grandfather had worked so hard to get for him, and now it was destroyed. He never imagined I actually had the power to influence Zhu Mingyuan. He had come to show off in front of me, and with just my presence alone, I knocked him from heaven straight into hell. His dream of becoming an alchemist was completely shattered. Jiang Qianhe asked in disbelief how I could possibly be a chief alchemist when I'd never studied alchemy back in Songshan City. Zhu Mingyuan snapped at him, saying he wasn't blind and telling them both to leave immediately. Jiang Yunhong dropped to his knees and begged for another chance. Without the martial palace and without alchemy, he had no future at all. Zhu Mingyuan told him coldly that not only would he never accept him, but no alchemist in all of Lingyun City would dare take him as a disciple after he disrespected me. Jiang Yunhong's face turned gray and he collapsed to the ground, completely defeated. Jiang Qianhe glared at me and said I was going too far, that Jiang Yunhong is family after all. I laughed coldly and asked where that family spirit was when they beat me and tried to steal my token. Besides, it was Zhu Mingyuan's own decision not to take his grandson, nothing to do with me. Zhu Mingyuan backed me up and warned the old man not to disrespect me again. Jiang Qianhe grabbed his devastated grandson and stormed off. After they left, I asked Zhu Mingyuan for a favor. Keep an eye on Jiang Yunhong and make sure no alchemist in the city takes him as a disciple. Jiang Yunhong isn't a real threat to me, but I wanted him to know what true despair feels like. I had lunch at the restaurant and headed back to the Martial Palace. When I arrived at the entrance, a huge crowd had gathered. I pushed through and saw the reason. A stunningly beautiful young woman in a white dress was standing on top of one of the stone lions by the gate. She stood there like a fairy, perfect and untouchable. The moment I looked at her, my system suddenly chimed with something unexpected. It detected something called a Supreme In-Death Body and triggered 100 times comprehension bonus. Instantly, an ancient pill recipe called the Mystic Yang Pill appeared in my mind, along with its full effects and uses. This pill is specifically made to cure the Supreme In-Death Body condition. I was amazed. The system could even work like this. People around me were whispering. They said she was Meng Qingxue, the most beautiful woman in the Martial Palace and the second-ranked genius on the Lingyun rankings. She had been standing there for a long time, apparently waiting for someone. I looked at her with curiosity. So this woman with the Supreme In-Death Body was the famous genius beauty Meng Qingxue. While I was looking at Meng Qingxue, she noticed me too. She floated down from the stone lion and landed right in front of me. Her cold voice rang out, asking if I was the Jiang Chun who injured her younger brother Meng Dongxing. The crowd went wild. So that's who she'd been waiting for me. Everyone figured I was doomed since she's ranked second on the Lingyun rankings. But instead of answering her question, I looked at her seriously and said, "Miss, you're sick. You need treatment." Everyone froze. They couldn't believe I just told the most beautiful genius in the Martial Palace that she was sick. But I wasn't joking. Her eyes turned ice cold, and the air around us seemed to freeze. She told me to say that again if I dared. I walked right up to her and whispered so only she could hear. I told her she was born on the first day of the 7th month, and that every year on her birthday since birth, she falls unconscious. Her face instantly changed. She asked how I knew. Fewer than 3 people in the entire Martial Palace knew about her condition. I told her I knew even more. Since she turned 16, the fainting happens every month, not just on her birthday. Her eyes widened with shock. I explained that she has something called a Supreme In-Death Body, an extremely rare condition that heaven itself resents. People with this body never live past 17. On her 17th birthday, she'll fall unconscious and never wake up. She was stunned. She had actually come to the martial palace specifically to get close to Grandmaster Yin Qingxian and ask about her condition. What I told her matched his findings exactly, and I even knew more, including the name of her condition. I continued. The only cure is the ancient mystic yang pill, but its recipe has been lost to history. In this entire world, I'm the only person who can make it. She composed herself and asked what my conditions were. I smiled and told her I needed a personal attendant. If she agrees, I'll save her life. Meng Qingshue's eyes flashed with anger. She refused my condition immediately. She said with her status, no one in the entire Great Xia Kingdom would dare ask her to be their servant. I was just an outer palace student. Who was I to make such a demand? I shrugged and told her it was her choice. Then I turned to leave. She shouted for me to stop and lunged at me, but I used my flowing light phantom step to dodge and put distance between us. She froze in surprise. She recognized my footwork as a mystic rank technique at the great accomplishment level. I complimented her sharp eyes. I repeated my offer calmly. I needed someone to serve tea and take care of things. She shouldn't feel it's beneath her. Following me would benefit her beyond imagination. One day, she might even feel grateful for becoming my attendant. The crowd nearly choked with laughter. They thought I was the biggest fool alive, asking the number 2 genius on the Lingyun rankings to be my maid. They all waited for her to beat me into the ground. But she didn't attack. She stared at me silently for a long time. Then she spoke quietly. Fine. I agree. But you'd better keep your word. Every single person in the crowd was completely stunned. The most beautiful genius in the martial palace just agreed to be an outer palace student's attendant. I smiled and promised her she would break free from the supreme in-death body and soar to new heights. She nodded coldly and stood behind me like a proper attendant. She had turned 16 3 months ago, which meant she had only 9 months left. If I couldn't cure her, she'd fall asleep forever. She was willing to gamble her freedom on the chance that I was truly someone extraordinary. She still had things she wanted to accomplish in this life, and for that, she'd pay any price. Everyone stared in disbelief. I had somehow convinced a Lingyun rankings genius beauty to serve me willingly. They all agreed I was the most incredible gold student in the history of the martial palace. The news that I had made Meng Qingxue my attendant shook the entire martial palace. She was the ice goddess that hundreds of students dreamed of pursuing, including famous geniuses on the Lingyun rankings. Yet she had never given anyone a chance. Now she was willingly serving an outer palace student. People couldn't stop talking about my first 2 days here. Day 1, I beat Lin Yang. Day 2, I crushed the number 1 gold student Meng Dongxing with one punch. And now Meng Qingxue, who came to get revenge for her brother, ended up becoming my attendant instead. They said they'd seen impressive people before, but never anyone like me. I brought Meng Qingxue back to Courtyard 68 and told her to clean up the place and pick a room. She frowned and asked when I'd refine the Mystic Yang pill for her. I told her the refining itself wasn't the hard part. The ingredients were. The pill requires blood essence from a 6th grade fire tribute beast. 6th grade beasts are as powerful as God Sea Realm warriors, and the Great Xia Kingdom hasn't seen anyone at that level for hundreds of years. Getting that ingredient wouldn't be easy. She said she didn't have it, but she knew someone who might. Yan Qingxian, the 6th rank alchemy grandmaster. Over a decade ago, he led a group of powerful warriors to hunt an injured scarlet flame phoenix, a 6th grade beast with traces of ancient divine bloodline. That would be perfect material for the pill. I agreed, and we decided to visit him the next morning. Yan Qingxian lives in a place called Qingxian Residence, deep inside the martial palace. He's an honorary elder who mostly keeps to himself, spending his time researching alchemy. Nobody dares disturb him, so the area has become almost a forbidden zone. When we arrived, the place was completely deserted, not even a gatekeeper. We walked straight in through the front door. Immediately, a sharp, angry voice shouted at us, demanding to know who we were and ordering us to get out. I looked over and saw a handsome young man around 16 or 17, wearing alchemist robes with a 2-star badge on his chest, a 2nd-rank senior alchemist at that age. He was genuinely talented. I politely introduced myself and asked him to inform Grandmaster Yin Qingxian that I wanted to see him. The moment I said my name, a sharp light flashed in his eyes. I later learned his name was Bai Zixuan, Yin Qingxuan's registered disciple. Su Lingxiang had come back a couple days ago and strongly recommended me to Yan Qingxian, so Bai Zishuan already knew my name and clearly resented me for it. He considered himself a once-in-a-generation alchemy genius, already a second-rank senior alchemist at just 16. Yet even he was only accepted as a registered disciple, not a true one. The idea that someone like me, a so-called bronze-class waste, could become Yin Qingshuan's final disciple infuriated him. He coldly told me the master was busy researching pills with Su Lingxiang and wouldn't see just anyone. I asked how he could know that without even going in to ask. He sneered and said I'd need to prove I was worthy first. He flicked a piece of paper at me, a damaged ancient pill recipe. He said if I could complete it, he'd let me see the master. He was confident this was impossible, since even Yin Qingxian himself hadn't managed to restore it yet. I caught the recipe and looked at it. Instantly, my system triggered 100 times comprehension and completed the entire formula in my mind. It was a 4th-grade life-extending pill. Bai Zishuan smirked and asked if I could complete it. I smiled and pointed out that even if I did, he wouldn't know if my answer was correct. Besides, I didn't need his permission to see Yin Qingxian. I told him confidently that if I wanted, the master would come out to see me himself within 1 minute. Bai Zishuan's eyes turned cold. He told me to get lost and warned that Qingxian residence wasn't a place for me to cause trouble. His master Yin Qingxian is a 6th-rank alchemy grandmaster. Even the king of Great Xia would have to be polite to see him. I smiled and told him not to regret this later. He laughed, asking what someone like me could possibly do to make him regret anything. He's not only Yin Qingshuan's disciple, but also the son of Lingyun City's lord. I ignored him and turned to Meng Qingxue. I asked her to shout toward the inner courtyard 3 times. The frost spirit fruit is wrong. She was confused, but did as I asked. Right after the 3rd shout, a loud explosion came from inside, the unmistakable sound of a furnace blowing up during alchemy. Bai Zishuan froze. Moments later, a white-haired old man rushed out looking disheveled. It was Yin Qingxian himself. He saw Meng Qingxue and asked if she was the one who shouted. I stepped forward and admitted it was my idea. I apologized for the method, but said I had no other way to get a meeting. Yin Qingxian stared at me with intense shock and asked how I knew the frost spirit fruit was wrong. I explained that in his incomplete life-extending pill recipe, the other ingredients he chose were correct, but the frost spirit fruit was too cold in nature and would break the balance of the formula. I suggested replacing it with evergreen vine, which has similar effects but a gentler nature that wouldn't conflict with the other ingredients. Yin Qingxian muttered to himself, amazed he hadn't thought of that. His eyes lit up with excitement, and he invited me inside to talk more. I agreed, then glanced at Bai Zishuan and mentioned that his disciple had tried to throw me out. Yin Qingshuan's face turned stern, and he shot a piercing glare at Bai Zishuan. The young man's legs gave out, and he collapsed to the ground, his face white as paper. Yin Qingxian was furious with Bai Zishuan. As a 6th-rank alchemy grandmaster, his lifelong dream is to break through to 7th rank and become an alchemy grandmaster. But in the Great Xia Kingdom, almost nobody can match his level, so he has no one to exchange ideas with. He's been stuck at 6th rank for a long time. Now he finally met someone who could inspire him, and his own disciple tried to kick me out. He told Bai Zishuan he had some nerve trying to chase away his honored guest. He said Qingxian residents couldn't hold someone as arrogant as Bai Zishuan and ordered him to leave. Bai Zishuan's face went gray, his spirit completely crushed. Then Su Lingxiang walked out from inside and was surprised to see me. Yin Qingxian heard my name and asked if I was the alchemy genius she'd found among the bronze students. Su Lingxiang eagerly confirmed it, saying I was the most talented person she'd ever seen and that I should become his final disciple. Yin Qingxian laughed and shook his head. He told her she was flattering him too much. He wasn't qualified to be my teacher. Then he revealed that I was the one who shouted the warning about the frost spirit fruit. Su Lingxiang was stunned. She asked how I could possibly know about the error. Did I have the complete life-extending pill recipe? I shook my head and explained that Bai Zishuan had given me the incomplete recipe as a test. I just took one look at it and figured out the problem. Su Lingxiang was speechless. She and Yin Qingxian had spent days studying that recipe and still couldn't crack it, yet I solved it with a single glance. Even knowing how talented I was, she never imagined I'd reached this level. Yin Qingshuan's jaw dropped. He said that throughout history, Countless ancient recipes have been lost or damaged. The fact that I could complete one just by looking at it was beyond anything he'd ever seen. I got straight to the point and told Yan Qingxian why I came. He waved off the formality and told me to just call him Big Brother, since he's older. He said I could ask for anything I needed. In his mind, he already saw me as his equal or even superior in alchemy. He felt that his breakthrough to 7th rank might depend on me. I told him I needed the blood essence from the Scarlet Flame Phoenix he had killed years ago. He was shocked and asked what I needed it for. That ingredient is only used in 5th grade pills and above, so he wondered if I could already refine at that level. I pointed at Meng Qingxue and explained that my attendant had a body condition that needed this ingredient to cure. Yan Qingxian and Su Lingxiang were stunned all over again. Both that Meng Qingxue was really serving as my attendant, and that I claimed I could solve her condition when even a 6th-rank grandmaster like Yan Qingxian couldn't. I explained she had a supreme death body and needed the ancient mystic yang pill. Yan Qingxian smiled bitterly. He'd never even heard of either of those things. He half wondered if I was some ancient alchemy master reborn. We spent about 2 hours exchanging alchemy knowledge, and then he gave me the Scarlet Flame Phoenix blood essence. Meng Qingxue and I left Qingxian residence. When we got back to my courtyard, Tang Sheng was already waiting at the door, looking anxious. He told me that a man named Jiang Kuei had come to Treasure Pill Pavilion looking for me that morning. He was badly injured. Jiang Kuei is someone from my family. My face darkened immediately. Tang Sheng said it looked like something had happened to the Jiang family. Jiang Kuei is my father's most trusted man. He's been managing most of the Jiang family's businesses and has great authority in the family. The fact that he showed up in Lingyun City badly injured meant something serious had happened. I rushed to Treasure Pill Pavilion and found him in a guest room on the 3rd floor, pale-faced and meditating to heal his wounds. He stood up to greet me formally, but I told him to skip the formalities. We're family. He thanked Tang Sheng for giving him healing pills, and Tang Sheng said it was only natural since I'm the pavilion's chief alchemist. I asked what happened. Jiang Kuei sighed and told me it was Jiang Qianhe's doing. After I rose from being a waste, and especially after our encounter in Lingyun City yesterday, Jiang Qianhe felt increasingly threatened. When he returned to the Jiang family, he decided to act fast, eliminate anyone loyal to my father, and seize control of the family. Jiang Kuei, being my father's right-hand man with high standing in the family, was his first target. Luckily, Jiang Kuei sensed the danger in time and fought his way out to find me. My eyes turned ice cold. Jiang Qianhe was looking for death. Jiang Kuei warned me not to act rashly. He said Jiang Qianhe's power in the family is now enormous, and nobody there can stop him from becoming the new family head. He predicted that Jiang Qianhe would soon send word of his takeover to lure me back into a trap. I told him not to worry. I knew exactly what to do. I had been willing to leave Jiang Qianhe alone as long as he stayed in his place as Grand Elder. But since he chose to betray my father and seize power, I wouldn't show mercy. I turned to Tang Sheng and asked him to prepare a pill refining room and massive amounts of 2nd grade and 3rd grade ingredients. I was going to refine pills non-stop and push my strength as high as possible. The moment news arrives that Jiang Qianhe has taken over, I'll go straight back to the Jiang family and show him that my father's position is not his to take. Tang Sheng set me up in a private alchemy room at Treasure Pill Pavilion, and mountains of 2nd grade and 3rd grade ingredients were delivered to me. As a 4th-rank alchemist with the system's 100-time success rate, refining was smooth and fast. I refined pills from morning to night, only stopping for a brief lunch break. By the end of the day, I had produced 10 2nd-grade pills and 3 3rd-grade pills. My alchemist rank also climbed to 5th rank. Then I started swallowing pills. I took 3 2nd-grade chi-gathering pills and 1 3rd-grade innate spirit pill. The system multiplied everything by 100. The innate spirit pill alone gave me a massive amount of experience since it's meant for much higher-level warriors. My cultivation shot up from Chi Control Level 1 all the way to Chi Control Level 9. At this level, I could crush almost anyone on the Lingyun rankings. My father Zheng Wuya, who was once the strongest person in Songshan City, is also at Chi Control Level 9. In just a few days, I had gone from a Level 2 waste to matching my father's strength. After that, I spent the whole night training my fist technique. My sky-breaking fist upgraded to a mystic mid-rank technique called Azure Dragon Skybreaking Fist. The next morning, I stepped out and received the news I expected. Jiang Qianhe was hosting a grand banquet today to officially take over as head of the Jiang family. I immediately prepared to head back to Tsongshan City. Jiang Kuei panicked and warned me it was obviously a trap to lure me in and kill me. I told him not to worry. Without absolute confidence, I wouldn't go back to die. As long as I don't agree, Jiang Qianhe can forget about taking my father's position. Jiang Kuei insisted on coming with me. I smiled and told him of course he should come. After I deal with Jiang Qianhe, I'll need him to help me manage the family. He looked at me with surprise, wondering if I truly had the power to handle the situation. A little over an hour later, I arrived back at the Jiang family estate with Meng Qingxue and Jiang Kuei. The outer courtyard plaza was packed with hundreds of guests that Jiang Qianhe had invited to watch him become the new family head. On a raised platform in the center, Jiang Qianhe stood wearing luxurious robes, performing the ancestral ceremony. He declared that the previous family head had disappeared, leaving the family without a leader, and that he was willing to take on the role to carry on the ancestors' legacy. Just as he sat down on the family head's seat and started his speech, I cut him off. My voice rang across the plaza. I called him an old dog and told him he wasn't worthy of being the Jiang family head. I said it was never his turn to sit in that seat. The crowd turned to look at the three of us walking toward the center. People whispered and mocked me. They recognized me as the waste young master stuck at body tempering level 2. They thought I was delusional for trying to challenge Jiang Qianhe. Jiang Qianhe smiled coldly when he saw me. This was exactly his plan. Lure me back so he could eliminate me before I grew any stronger. He had seen my sudden transformation from waste to threat and decided to crush me while he still could. He stood up and looked down at me. He said as Grand Elder, with the family head missing, he had every right to take over. He warned me not to cause trouble on this important day, or he'd deal with me harshly. I looked at him calmly and reminded everyone that my father Jiang Wuya is the family head. Even if my father is away, the next in line should be me, the young master of the Jiang family, not some elder. I told him not to forget who I am. The crowd stared in disbelief. The so-called waste young master was actually challenging Jiang Qianhe for the family head position. Every guest in the plaza was stunned by my boldness. In this world, strength is everything, and the weak have no voice. Even being the son of the former family head means nothing if you're a waste. They couldn't understand where I found the courage to challenge Jiang Qianhe. Jiang Qianhe stared at me coldly and asked if I really thought only I could inherit the family head position. I stared right back and asked if there was any doubt. He smiled darkly and said he'd give me a chance to prove I'm worthy. He called up a young man named Jiang Xing, the #1 genius among the Jiang family's younger generation. Jiang Xing had entered the Martial Palace's inner palace half a year ago and was already at Qi Control Level 3. Jiang Qianhe said if I could beat Jiang Xing and prove myself as the strongest young member of the family, he'd accept my right to be family head. His real plan was obvious. He wanted Jiang Xing to cripple me permanently so I'd never be a threat again. The crowd shook their heads in pity. They thought sending me against Jiang Xing was like sending a lamb to slaughter. I narrowed my eyes. The old dog had even called Jiang Xing back from the Martial Palace for this. Jiang Xing looked down at me from the platform and told me to come up and fight. I laughed with contempt. I told him he was nothing but a little dog raised by the old dog Jiang Qianhe. He wasn't even qualified to make me lift a finger. If he wanted to fight me, he'd have to beat my attendant first. I turned to Meng Qingxue and told her calmly, "Go up there and deal with him." Meng Qingxue flashed onto the platform in an instant. She looked at Jiang Xing coldly and told him to make his move. She was fighting in my place. Jiang Xing's face went pale the moment he recognized her. He'd heard the rumors at the Martial Palace about me, making Meng Qingxue my attendant, but he never believed them. She's ranked second on the Lingyun rankings. How could someone like her serve a waste like me? But here she was, in Tsongshan City, following my orders. He had no choice but to believe it now. Meng Qingxue told him her personal matters were none of his business and warned him to attack quickly or he'd lose his chance entirely. Jiang Qianhe couldn't stand it. He shouted at her to get off the stage and stop meddling in Jiang family affairs. He swung his palm and sent a powerful blast of energy at her. Meng Qingxue raised her hand calmly and met his attack head-on. The collision shook the air. Jiang Qianhe stumbled backward several steps. Meng Qingxue didn't move an inch. His face turned ugly with shock. This teenage girl was at Qi Control Level 7, equal to or even slightly stronger than him. She told him flatly that she's Jiang Chen's attendant and asked if he had a problem with that. The entire plaza lost its mind. A teenage girl stronger than the Grand Elder was willingly serving the family's so-called waste, and she confirmed it openly. Jiang Chen's face turned dark. He argued that this is an internal family matter and I should prove myself with my own strength. Relying on an outsider would never earn the family's respect. I laughed and pointed out that they couldn't even beat my attendant, yet they still had the nerve to talk. But I admitted he had a small point. If I want to be family head, I need to convince everyone personally. So I made a simple promise. If anyone isn't convinced, I'll beat them until they are. I activated my flowing light phantom step, turned into a blur, and appeared on the platform in an instant. I raised my hand and beckoned Jiang Qianhe and Jiang Xing to come at me together. Jiang Xing stepped forward alone, saying he didn't need help to deal with me. He refused to believe I could catch up to him, the Jiang family's top genius, in such a short time. I smiled and told him he thought too highly of himself. In my eyes, this so-called first genius was nothing more than a one-move opponent. Before he could react, I vanished from his sight. A shadow flashed before his eyes, and my fist slammed into his stomach. He flew backward and crashed into the edge of the stone platform, coughing up blood. One move. The Jiang family's greatest young talent was finished in a single strike. Jiang Qianhe was stunned. The crowd was stunned. Nobody could believe the former waste had just destroyed Jiang Xing so effortlessly. I turned to Jiang Qianhe and told him it was his turn now. He glared at me and warned me not to think beating Jiang Xing meant nobody could stop me. He wasn't as easy to deal with. I smiled with contempt and told him he was no different, also just a one-move opponent. I clenched my fist and summoned a massive gray-blue dragon shadow 2 or 3 meters long in front of me. Azure Dragon's sky-breaking fist. The dragon roared and lunged at Jiang Qianhe. He panicked and used everything he had, unleashing the Jiang family's only mystic rank technique, the heaven-shaking palm. But it wasn't enough. My dragon fist shattered his technique and slammed into him. He flew through the air and tumbled across the ground over a dozen times before stopping. Before he could get up, I appeared beside him and swung my palm at him again. My palm was too fast for the already injured Jiang Qianhe to dodge. He was sent flying again, crashing several meters away. Before he could stand, I appeared in front of him and stomped my foot down on his chest. He screamed in agony and blood poured from his mouth. I looked down at him and asked coldly whether he accepted me as the Jiang family head or not. Terrified, he screamed that he accepted. He had never imagined I could be this powerful. A Grand Elder at Qi Control Level 7 couldn't even fight back against me. The entire plaza fell into dead silence. Everyone stared at me with blank, shocked faces. The famous waste of Tsongshan City had just beaten the Grand Elder like a helpless dog. Jiang Qianhe was one of the top fighters in the entire city, yet I crushed him effortlessly. Jiang Kuei stood below with wide eyes, barely able to believe what he was seeing. Before we came back, he thought defeating Jiang Qianhe was impossible for me. I proved him wrong in the most spectacular way. Even Meng Qingxue, standing behind me on the platform, was stunned. She had known I could identify her condition at a glance, and that my alchemy amazed even Yin Qingxian. But she never expected my combat strength had reached this level too. I could see her wondering just how many secrets I was hiding. Jiang Qianhe's plan to seize power collapsed completely. His entire faction within the family crumbled in an instant. I appointed Jiang Kuei as the new Grand Elder to manage the family on my behalf. Overnight, my name shook all of Tsongshan City. Everyone learned that the once famous waste had risen to stand at the very top. My talent now surpassed even Lin Yu, who was once called the city's greatest genius. I was without question the #1 young warrior of Tsongshan City. After defeating Jiang Qianhe, I handed all family management over to Jiang Kuei and stayed a few days to help strengthen the family. I refined pills and helped Jiang Kuei break through from Qi Control Level 6 to Level 7. Once things were back on track, I prepared to return to the Martial Palace. But Jiang Kuei rushed to find me with bad news. A bandit group called the Blood Fiend Gang had seized the Jiang family's herb garden on Xuansong Mountain. I knew about the Blood Fiend Gang. They're a powerful bandit force operating near Tsongshan City, led by a man called Blood Fiend, who has chi control level 8 strength. Because of him, even the 3 great families of Tsongshan City were careful not to provoke them. The only reason they never touched our family before was because my father, at chi control level 9, kept them in check. Jiang Kuei figured they must have learned my father was no longer around and decided the Jiang family was now easy prey. That herb garden is one of our main sources of income. I couldn't let this stand. I headed to Xuansong Mountain immediately. It was only a short distance from the city, and I arrived in under half an hour. At the garden entrance, 2 Blood Fiend gang members were chatting and laughing about their good fortune. One bragged that with my father gone, nobody in the Jiang family could challenge their boss. Anyone who came would just be walking to their death. I walked straight toward them. One of them spotted me and shouted, demanding to know who I was and telling me to get lost. I told him calmly that I was exactly the person he was just talking about, the one who came to die. He realized I was from the Jiang family and sneered, saying I must be tired of living to come here alone. I told them this herb garden belongs to the Jiang family and demanded they bring Blood Fiend out to see me. The bald guard sneered and said their boss isn't someone I can just summon. He told me to get lost or this mountain would become my grave. I didn't waste words. I picked up a leaf from the ground and flicked it with my fingers. It shot out like a flying blade and sliced across the bald man's throat. He dropped dead instantly. The other guard was terrified. I told him to go fetch Blood Fiend unless he wanted to die too. He scrambled inside in a panic. About 5 minutes later, a scarred man in black led a group of gang members out of the garden, roaring about who dared cause trouble on his territory. This was Blood Fiend himself. He looked me over and asked who I was. I told him he didn't need to know my name. He only needed to know that this herb garden was beyond his reach. He burst into laughter and mocked the Jiang family for sending a kid. He said not even Jiang Qinhe could take this garden back, let alone me. He even threatened to march into Tsongshan City and wipe out the entire Jiang family. I stared at him coldly. I told him he overestimates himself. My father kept him in check before, and now I can do the same. He has no right to threaten my family. I gave him 5 minutes to take his people and disappear. Otherwise, I would show no mercy. Blood Fiend laughed like he'd heard the best joke of his life. His followers joined in mocking me, saying a kid who hasn't even grown up couldn't possibly threaten anyone. One of them, a middle-aged man who was a chi control realm fighter, volunteered to deal with me. Blood Fiend agreed but told him not to kill me, just cripple me. He figured stealing the herb garden was one thing, but killing Zhang Wuya's son might make my father come back for revenge. The man stepped forward with an arrogant grin and asked how I wanted to die. I told him I'd be the one sending him to death. Before he could react, I turned into a blur, appeared beside him, and drove my fist into his chest. The punch looked simple but carried terrifying power. He shook violently, blood spraying from his mouth, then flew 7 or 8 meters and crashed to the ground, motionless. The entire Blood Fiend gang froze. That man was one of their few chi control realm experts, and I'd finished him with a single punch. Blood Fiend admitted he had underestimated me. I told him coldly that his 5 minutes were up. He refused to back down, saying he wasn't afraid just because I had chi control realm strength. He wanted to see me try to carry out my threat. I told him I'd already given him his chance, and he wasted it. From today, the Blood Fiend gang would no longer exist near Tsongshan City. I vanished again. Before Blood Fiend could react, a scream came from behind him. He turned and saw one of his men collapse to the ground dead. He roared with fury and charged at me like a crazed lion. I ignored Blood Fiend's charge completely. Using my flowing light phantom step at full power, I flashed from one gang member to the next, killing them one by one. Blood Fiend pushed his speed to the limit but couldn't keep up with me. All he could do was watch helplessly as I took down his men. In less than a few minutes, every single Blood Fiend gang member lay dead on the ground. Not one survived. Blood Fiend was beyond furious. He swore I wouldn't leave Xuansong Mountain alive. He didn't care anymore that I was Jiang Wuya's son. He gathered all his power into his signature move, Blood Fiend Fist. A massive blood-red fist the size of a person formed in the air and crashed down toward me like a crimson meteor. I stayed calm and answered with my Azure Dragon Skybreaking Fist. The two attacks collided. His blood-red fist trembled, twisted, and shattered into nothing. The backlash sent Blood Fiend stumbling to his knees, coughing up blood. He stared at me in terror and asked who I really was. He realized my technique was at least Mystic mid-rank and my cultivation had reached Chi Control level 9, a level that even the famous genius Lin Yu couldn't match. I told him coldly, Jiang Chun, current head of the Jiang family. I reminded him of my promise. After today, the Blood Fiend gang would no longer exist near Tsongshan City. I appeared in front of him instantly. Facing death, he broke down and begged for mercy. He offered to submit to me completely. When I asked why I should trust him, he pulled out a secret technique scroll, a slave-binding art that would put his life in my hands. Once cast, I could kill him with a single thought. Blood Fiend's submission was sincere, so I spared his life. Having a Chi Control level 8 warrior guarding the Jiang family would make our position in Tsongshan City rock solid. I ordered him to disband the Blood Fiend gang, gather all the wealth they'd stolen, and bring it to Tsongshan City. Then I headed back. When I arrived at the city gates, I found Jiang Kuei had assembled a large group of Jiang family elite disciples. Nearby crowds were watching and whispering, wondering if the Jiang family was about to go to war with the Blood Fiend gang. I walked over and told Jiang Kuei there was no need for all this. He could just send people to take back the herb garden. The Blood Fiend gang problem was already dealt with. He stared at me in shock. The onlookers couldn't believe it either. Everyone in Tsongshan City knew how powerful the Blood Fiend gang was. The idea that I handled them alone seemed impossible. Then the ground started rumbling. A group of riders appeared on the road heading toward the city. People panicked when they recognized Blood Fiend himself leading his men straight toward Tsongshan City. Everyone assumed I had angered the gang, and they were coming for revenge. Jiang Kuei immediately ordered the Jiang family disciples into battle formation. I told him to relax. They weren't here to cause trouble. Jiang Kuei didn't understand what I meant. But moments later, Blood Fiend rode up to the city gate, jumped off his horse, and dropped to one knee in front of me before the stunned eyes of the entire crowd. Blood Fiend greets the family head. The entire city gate fell into dead silence. Everyone stared in shock as Blood Fiend, the terrifying Chi Control level 8 bandit lord who had ruled the area around Tsongshan City for years, knelt before me and called me his master. Then Blood Fiend introduced several men behind him, all his most loyal brothers, each at least body tempering level 9. They wanted to join the Jiang family too. I accepted them. With these experienced fighters, the Jiang family strength would grow significantly. They all knelt and pledged loyalty to me in front of the stunned crowd. Blood Fiend also handed me a storage ring containing all the wealth his gang had accumulated over the years. It was an enormous fortune, likely comparable to what any of the 3 great families possessed. The onlookers were numb with shock and burning with envy, but nobody dared have any thoughts about taking what was now mine. I told them all to stand. Since they were joining the Jiang family, they were family now. As long as they served loyally, the family would treat them well. Then I led everyone into Tsongshan City. News of what happened spread through the city like a storm. The Jiang family, which had been the weakest of the 3 great families after my father's disappearance, was now stronger than ever, even stronger than when my father was around. The Lin family and the Li family both felt enormous pressure. For years, the 3 families had been roughly equal. Now the balance was completely broken. They feared that if the Jiang family became the dominant power in Tsongshan City, there would be no room left for them. So the heads of both families quietly formed an alliance and sat down together to plan their next move. Meanwhile, at the Lin family estate, Lin Tianxiong and Li family head Li Qian were sitting together with grim faces. Lin Tianxiong said they couldn't sit around and wait for the Jiang family to dominate Tsongshan City. His solution was simple: kill me. He argued that as long as I'm alive, the Lin and Li families will never have a chance. Li Qian pointed out that killing me wouldn't be easy since my strength now rivals my father's. But Lin Tianxiong said if both families joined forces, they'd have a chance. He also tempted Li Qian with something else. My rapid rise from waste to powerhouse must mean I'm hiding some extraordinary secret. If they could kill me and take that secret, they might be able to break through their own limits and become incredibly powerful. Li Qian's eyes lit up at this. He agreed to the alliance. Lin Tianxiong said they should wait for the right moment. Right now, the Jiang family has me, Meng Qingxue, and Blood Fiend, 3 powerful fighters together. Even both families combined couldn't take us all on. But once I leave the Jiang family, that would be their chance to strike. While they were plotting against me, I was sitting in my room staring at a strange oval object about a foot long, covered in flame patterns. I found it inside the storage ring Blood Fiend gave me. The moment I took it out, my system chimed. It identified the object as a damaged fire-chilling beast hatching egg and triggered 100 times comprehension, teaching me how to repair it. Even Meng Qingxue gasped when she saw it. A fire-chilling beast carries the bloodline of the divine fire-chilling. When fully grown, it can reach 6th grade, equal to a God Sea realm human warrior. That's an unimaginably powerful creature, and I now held its egg in my hands. Meng Qingxue stared at the fire-chilling egg with envy. She said my luck was ridiculously good. Ancient beast eggs are already extremely rare, and one with divine bloodline that can reach 6th grade is something most people can only dream of. Once hatched and fully grown, it would be an unstoppable force in the Great Xia Kingdom. She asked why Blood Fiend didn't keep it for himself. I explained that the egg is damaged, and most beast tamers couldn't hatch it. Just like her supreme Death body, I'm probably the only person who can fix it. The problem is I need a rare treasure called Heavenly Bamboo Spirit Milk to repair the egg. It has incredible restorative power. A single drop can fully heal any warrior below the origin realm instantly. Finding something that precious isn't easy. Meng Qingxue told me she had actually seen Heavenly Bamboo Spirit Milk half a year ago at the Thundercloud mountain range. She gave up on it because a beast with Chi control, level 9 strength was guarding it. I got excited immediately. With my current power, that beast wouldn't be a problem. I decided we should go right away. I said a quick goodbye to Jiang Kuei and left Songshan City with Meng Qingxue. But almost as soon as we left, she noticed someone following us, a shadowy figure trailing behind. I told her to speed up and find a secluded spot to deal with the stalker. We raced ahead for several miles and ducked into a deserted forest. Minutes later, a black-clothed middle-aged man appeared, searching for us. When he realized he'd lost our trail, he cursed under his breath. I appeared behind him silently and spoke. He spun around in shock. I recognized him by his movement skills. He could only be Qiu Wuing, a guest elder of the Lin family. I told him coldly to reveal the Lin family's plan, and in return, I'd leave his body in one piece. Qiu Wuing laughed at my threat and turned it back on me. He said I must be hiding a big secret to have grown so strong so fast, and offered to leave my body intact if I revealed it. I told him he was looking for death. He smirked and fired a signal flare into the sky. Instantly, 3 powerful presences appeared from about 100 meters away. Within seconds, 3 figures stood before us. I recognized 2 of them, Lin Tianxiong, head of the Lin family, and Li Qian, head of the Li family. Beside them stood a proud-looking old man in Taoist robes. I smiled calmly and said I hadn't expected both family heads to come personally. Lin Tianxiong glared at me with killing intent. He said Songshan City had always been shared by 3 families, and they wouldn't let mine dominate. He declared today was the day I die. I laughed and told them they were overestimating themselves. Lin Tianxiong said he knew how strong I was and wouldn't have come unprepared. He turned to the old man in robes and thanked him for his help. The old man said coolly that unless I was beyond the Qi control realm, at the innate level, there was no escape. The old man pulled out a scroll glowing with strange light and flung it into the air. It floated about 10 meters above us and exploded with brilliant light that formed a barrier, trapping Meng Qingxue and me within a 10-meter radius. Meng Qingxue's face changed. She recognized it as a formation diagram. The old man was a formation master, a profession even rarer than alchemists. Formation masters can create killing arrays, defensive arrays, and cultivation-boosting arrays. Their art is incredibly complex, involving the forces of nature itself. Lin Tianxiong laughed triumphantly. He bragged that he'd spent a fortune hiring this 3rd-rank formation master. His formation can trap even warriors at the peak of Qi control level 9. He repeated with glee that today, I was certain to die. I ignored Lin Tianxiong's laughter and focused on studying the formation around us. My system triggered immediately, 100 times comprehension activated. In seconds, I understood everything about this formation and exactly how to break it. I told Meng Qingxue to hit the formation with her strongest attack. She drew a silver sword from thin air and slashed at the formation diagram above us. The entire array trembled violently. Lin Tianxiong's face changed, and he nervously asked the formation master if his trap could really hold us. The old man said confidently that even though Meng Qingshue's attack was strong, it was still only Qi control level power. His 3-extinction formation is a third-grade array that can't be broken by brute force unless you're at the innate realm. It works by cutting off all life force, slowly suffocating anyone trapped inside. Sure enough, the formation stabilized after her attack. Meng Qingshue's expression turned serious. She told me this was a powerful killing formation, and if we couldn't escape, we'd die in here. I smiled and told her this was called the 3-extinction formation, and while its reputation is fearsome, the old man had only learned the basics. His version was full of flaws and practically falling apart. She stared at me in disbelief. You understand formations too? I shrugged and said I knew a thing or two, at least enough to break this one. She was completely speechless. Martial arts, alchemy, beast taming, and now formations. She couldn't figure out if there was anything I couldn't do. I told her to hang on while I broke the formation. Then I looked up at Lin Tianxiong outside and called out with a laugh. Did he really think hiring a formation master with a formation this full of holes could kill me? Lin Tianxiong laughed and said I knew nothing about formations. The formation master was slightly surprised I could name his array, but dismissed me as arrogant. He challenged me to break it if I could, saying I had about 1 hour before the formation would kill us. He refused to believe a teenager could surpass a third-rank formation master. I smiled proudly and told him I didn't need an hour. I could break his formation in a snap of my fingers. I turned to Meng Qingxue and started giving her precise instructions. Walk 3 steps northwest, thrust your sword straight up. Walk 7 steps southeast, slash horizontally. She followed each command without hesitation. After just 3 sword strikes, the entire formation began shaking violently. Then with a thunderous boom, the supposedly unbreakable 3-extinction formation shattered into sparkling fragments and vanished completely. My system rewarded me handsomely. Breaking a third-grade formation gave me massive experience, and I jumped straight from knowing nothing about formations to becoming a third-rank formation master in one go. The old formation master stared at me in disbelief, mumbling that this was impossible. His carefully crafted array had been destroyed in the blink of an eye. He couldn't accept that a teenager's understanding of formations had surpassed his own. Next to him, Lin Tianxiong and Li Qian's faces turned white as paper. Their trump card had just been torn apart like nothing. I fixed my cold gaze on both family heads and let my voice cut through the silent forest. I told them I hadn't gone looking for trouble with them, but they came to me instead. Since they were so eager to die, I'd be happy to help them along. My cold words made Lin Tianxiong's face change instantly. He shouted at Li Qian to attack together. He struck first, sending a powerful palm at me. Li Qian pulled a long saber from his storage ring and brought it down toward my head. They knew it was kill or be killed. If they failed today, both their families would be finished. But before Li Qian's blade could reach me, Meng Qingxue appeared in front of him and blocked his saber with her silver sword. She told him his opponent was her. Li Qian roared and unleashed a sweeping blade attack at her. Meanwhile, I calmly watched Lin Tianxiong charge at me. I stood perfectly still until he was within striking distance, then threw a single punch. The collision shook the air. A brutal force traveled through his arms and sent him stumbling backward over 10 steps. His face turned pale. Although he's only 1 level below me at Qi Control level 8, the real gap between us was enormous. I didn't give him time to recover. I launched myself at him again, my silver fist energy surging with enough force to crack the sky. He barely raised his palms to block before my punch sent him flying through 2 thick trees. He crashed and rolled across the ground, coughing up blood. As I charged at him again, he finally broke down. He screamed for mercy, offering to submit the Lin family to the Jiang family completely. I told him it was too late. The Jiang family doesn't need the submission of a treacherous wolf that can never be tamed. From the moment they decided to attack me, their only possible ending was death. My cold words echoed through the forest as I vanished from sight. Lin Tianxiong watched me vanish and terror filled his heart. Before he could even finish begging, my fist crashed into his chest. A terrible scream echoed through the forest, and his body flew several meters before hitting the ground. He was dead. Meng Qingshue's fight with Li Qian was also ending. Although both were at Qi Control level 8, Li Qian was far inferior to her in actual combat ability. Within about 10 moves, she had him completely suppressed. When he saw Lin Tianxiong die, he panicked, and Meng Qingxue seized that opening to cut him down with her sword. Qiu Wuying was frozen with terror. In just minutes, we had broken the formation, killed both family heads, and destroyed their entire plot. He turned to run, but I was already standing in his path. I told him that since he came, he should stay forever. My sky-breaking fist shattered his hastily formed defense and struck him down. At only Chi Control level 6, he had no chance against me. That left only the formation master. I turned my cold gaze on him. He sneered and asked if I really planned to kill him too. He announced that he's an official from the imperial capital of the Great Xia Kingdom. He warned that if I touched a single hair on his head, the entire Zhang family would be wiped from existence. I asked if he was threatening me. He told me to try if I didn't believe him. I stared at him with ice-cold, killing intent. He came here to kill me. If not for my system, I might actually have died in his formation today. I don't start fights, but when someone comes after me, I pay them back tenfold. I told him he was far too arrogant. Just because he belongs to some powerful family doesn't mean I won't touch him. In this world, there is nobody I don't dare to kill. I lunged at Gong Yuan's throat. He panicked and threw out a defensive formation diagram that created a light shield around him, blocking my attack. He screamed that I'd regret touching him and threatened to destroy my entire family. I told him he'd never get the chance. No matter who he is, today he dies. He laughed with contempt, saying a mere Chi Control Realm warrior could never kill a third-rank formation master. I told him his only advantage was his formation diagrams, but in my eyes, they were all garbage, just like the 3 extinction formation before. However many he had, I'd break them all. His current defensive formation was no different. My system instantly analyzed his small bedrock formation, a third-grade defense array that draws earth energy and can block even early innate realm attacks. Its weakness lies underground, and it can be broken with wood energy. I grabbed 3-foot-long branches and drove them into the ground at specific angles along the edge of his barrier. Then I threw a punch with everything I had. The formation shattered instantly. I reached for his throat again, telling him his worthless formations couldn't save his life. He was shocked and furious, but pulled out yet another diagram. He warned me that I was the first person to push him this far, and swore he'd return to wipe out the Jiang family completely. As he activated the new diagram, my system identified it, the 8 trigrams teleportation formation, a third-grade escape array. I instantly learned how it works and where it sends people. A flash of light surrounded him, and he vanished. But I wasn't worried. I already knew his teleportation direction, northeast. I turned into a blur and shot after him immediately. Gong Yuan's teleportation sent him about 1,000 meters to the northeast. He was furious that I had forced him to waste such a valuable escape formation. He convinced himself I must have some special treasure that counters formations, and started planning to gather reinforcements and attack Songshan City to steal it from me. But he barely took a few steps before a shadow flashed across his vision. My hand was already around his throat. I asked him coldly if he really thought he'd get a chance to come back. His body went stiff. He couldn't understand how I had caught up after he teleported 1,000 meters away. Panic finally set in. He begged for his life, warning me again that the Gong family would never let me go if I killed him. I told him I didn't care if he was from the Gong family or anyone else. Anyone who comes after me dies, even if they were the king himself. I tightened my grip. His neck snapped with a clear crack, and his body crumpled to the ground. Meng Qingxue caught up and was shocked I actually killed him. She warned me seriously that the Gong family is the most powerful noble family in the entire Great Xia Kingdom, famous for their formation arts. Their ancestor is a 6th-rank formation master that even the royal family fears. The Gong family fiercely protects their own, and if they discover I killed one of them, it would mean serious trouble. I shrugged it off. He was just a 3rd-rank formation master. Even if the Gong family ancestor himself came after me, I'd make him regret it. I told Meng Qingxue it was time to head to the Thunder Cloud mountain range. A day later, we arrived at Thunderstone City, the nearest city to the mountain range. It sits on the border between 2 territories and serves as the only entrance for warriors heading into Thundercloud Mountains. The city is huge and prosperous, almost rivaling Lingyun City itself. Once inside, Meng Qingxue led me toward the western part of the city. I followed Meng Qingxue and asked where we were going. She explained that the Thundercloud mountain range is vast and extremely dangerous. Most Martial Palace students who come here join local adventure teams for safety. During her previous visit, she had joined the Frost Adventure team and became good friends with their leader, Yi Qingxuang. Having their help would make our trip into the mountains much easier. She led me through several streets to an old courtyard. But something was wrong. There wasn't a single guard at the entrance. I looked inside and heard arguing. Something had happened. Inside the main hall, the beautiful team leader Yi Qingxuang and her members were facing off against a group of fierce-looking men. At the front stood a well-dressed young man staring at Yi Qingxuang like a predator. His name was Lu Xiao, the young leader of the Black Tiger Adventure Team. He told Yi Qingxuang that since her team operates under the Black Tiger Team's protection, they owe a monthly tribute. One of the Frost team members, a girl in leather armor, protested that they had already doubled the tribute last month from 20,000 to 50,000 gold coins. Now they wanted to double it again to 100,000. Lu Xiao snapped at her for daring to speak. Yi Qingxuang stepped in front of the girl to protect her. She told Lu Xiao they simply couldn't afford that much. Their team is small and doesn't earn enough. Lu Xiao smiled and offered her another option: merge the Frost team into the Black Tiger team and become his woman. He promised to treat her well. The Frost team members were furious. Everyone knew Lu Xiao had been lusting after their leader, and now he was using extortion to force her hand. Yi Qingxuang trembled with anger and told him not to push too far. Lu Xiao laughed and said survival of the fittest is how the world works. Submit or be destroyed. Right then, my casual voice drifted in from the doorway. Sounds pretty lively in here. My voice from the doorway made everyone freeze. They turned and saw me walking in with Meng Qingxue. Lu Xiao was about to shout at me, but then he noticed Meng Qingxue. His eyes lit up with desire. He completely ignored me and tried to charm her with a smile, asking what brought her here. Meng Qingxue didn't even look at him. She smiled at Yi Qingxuang and greeted her warmly. They clearly knew each other well. Yi Qingxuang was surprised and happy to see her. Meng Qingxue explained we needed a guide for the Thundercloud mountain range and came to ask for her help. Yi Qingxuang agreed immediately and turned to Lu Xiao, asking for 3 more days to deliver the tribute. Lu Xiao refused coldly. He said she had only 2 choices: pay the 100,000 gold coins right now, or merge her team into his. No negotiation. Before Meng Qingxue could intervene, I spoke up. I politely asked Lu Xiao to give me some face and drop the matter for now, since we needed Yi Qingxuang's help. He sneered and asked who I thought I was. He warned me not to interfere with Black Tiger business unless I wanted to die. Since he wouldn't show me any courtesy, I didn't bother being polite either. I told him the Frost Adventure team was now under my protection. He should take his people and get lost. The entire courtyard went silent. No one had ever spoken to Lu Xiao like that in Thunderstone City. The Black Tiger team is one of the most powerful teams here. Lu Xiao stared at me for a moment, then burst into laughter. He said I must be out of my mind, a nobody trying to protect someone else. He told me to cut off my own arm and hand over Meng Qingxue for his enjoyment, and maybe he'd spare my life. My eyes turned ice cold. I told Lu Xiao to kneel in front of Meng Qingxue and apologize. That might be his only chance to survive. He laughed and ordered 3 of his men to cripple me. All 3 were Qi Control Level 4 warriors who charged at me with killing intent. Yi Qingxuang looked worried and asked Meng Qingxue if I'd be okay. Meng Qingxue smiled calmly and said below the innate realm, very few people can match me. Yi Qingxuang's eyes went wide with shock, realizing I must be at least Qi Control Level 9. I stood with my hands behind my back and watched the 3 men rush toward me. When they got within range, I released my full aura and let out a single shout. Get lost! That one shout hit them like a bell ringing inside their chests. Their faces turned white instantly. Blood poured from their eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. Within seconds, all 3 collapsed to the ground dead, killed by nothing more than my voice. Everyone in the courtyard gasped. The Frost Adventure team members couldn't believe what they just saw. A teenage boy had killed 3 Qi Control Level 4 warriors with a single shout. Lu Xiao was stunned too. He finally realized I wasn't someone to take lightly. He asked who I was. I told him I'm the person who can kill him. I ordered him to kneel and apologize. The next second of hesitation would be his last. Lu Xiao admitted he'd underestimated me, but said I shouldn't get cocky just because I could kill a few level 4 fighters. He turned to the black-robed old man standing beside him and said, "Elder Hong, take care of him. Show him what despair feels like." The black-robed old man stepped forward slowly, his aura growing stronger with each step. He released the full pressure of Chi Control Level 8. He looked down at me and offered to spare my life if I submitted to the Black Tiger team. I glanced at him coldly and told him a mere Chi Control Level 8 fighter had no right to talk like that in front of me. I told him to step aside or die. I'd killed 2 Chi Control Level 8 warriors just yesterday. He was furious at my arrogance. He stomped the ground so hard that the stone floor cracked and shattered beneath his feet. Then he turned into a black streak of light and appeared behind me in an instant, driving a powerful black palm strike at my back. Yi Qingxuang and her team members held their breath. The speed and power of his attack seemed impossible to block. The old man grinned, confident his surprise attack with his mystic rank shadow step would devastate me. Even some Chi Control Level 9 warriors could be caught off guard by this move. But when his palm hit my body, it passed through nothing. What he struck was only an afterimage. I had already appeared behind him. He spun around in shock and screamed, asking how I could possibly be that fast. I sneered and told him that trying to show off a low-level mystic movement skill in front of me was laughable. I unleashed my full Chi Control Level 9 aura. My eyes blazed with an overwhelming light. In that moment, I stood like a king looking down on everyone below. Then I turned into a streak of golden light and shot skyward, calling out the name of my technique. Mystic Mid-Rank Movement Skill, Heaven Treading Step. My voice echoed across the sky as I descended like a meteor above the old man's head, bringing my foot down with devastating force. This was my new Mystic Mid-Rank Movement Skill, Heaven Treading Step. During the journey from Tsongshan City, my flowing light phantom step had upgraded again. This technique isn't just fast, it doubles as an attack skill. The old man looked up in horror and desperately formed a black energy shield around himself. My foot came down carrying overwhelming golden force. The impact shook the entire courtyard. The stone floor exploded, sending sharp debris flying in every direction. Everyone except Meng Qingxue had to throw up protective barriers and retreat. Lu Xiao, who was standing too close, got hit by a chunk of rock and was knocked several meters back. When the dust settled, the scene left everyone speechless. I stood tall in the center of the courtyard. In front of me was a crater 3 meters wide. The old man's body was half buried in the ground, driven into the earth by my single strike. His eyes were wide open with terror. His mouth moved, but no words came out. Then his head tilted to the side, and he went still. Dead. The Frost team members stared at me, frozen in shock. Elder Hong was a peak Chi Control Level 8 warrior, famous among all the adventure teams in Thunderstone City. And I had killed him with one move. Lu Xiao's face turned white as paper. He scrambled to his feet and tried to crawl out of the courtyard. I appeared beside him instantly and grabbed his shoulder, yanking him back. He crashed to the ground face first. He screamed that I couldn't touch him because his father, the leader of the Black Tiger team, would come for revenge. I grabbed his neck with one hand and lifted him off the ground. I told him coldly not to threaten me with his father. If his father dares to come, I'll kill him too and send him underground to keep his son company. Lu Xiao's face turned red as I squeezed his neck. Feeling death closing in, he finally broke down and begged, saying he was willing to kneel and apologize. But I knew exactly what he was thinking. He'd go running back to his father for revenge the moment I let him go. I told him I'd already given him his chance, and he wasted it. I hoped he'd be a better person in his next life. I tightened my grip and snapped his neck. He fell to the ground, dead. The Frost Adventure team members couldn't believe their eyes. The mighty young leader of the Black Tiger team, who terrorized all of Thunderstone City, was gone just like that. Yi Qingxuang thanked me gratefully for saving her team. I waved it off and said it was nothing. All I needed was for her to guide us to the heavenly bamboo spirit milk in the Thundercloud Mountains. She understood why we'd come, but said there was a problem. News of Lu Xiao's death would spread quickly, and his father Lu Heihu would soon bring the entire Black Tiger team here for revenge. I asked how strong they were. She said the Black Tiger team is one of the strongest in Thunderstone City. Their leader Lu Heihu is at Chi Control Level 9, and they have another Chi Control Level 9 elder. Fewer than 3 teams in the city can match them. I smiled and told her not to worry. If they dare to come, I'll make sure none of them leave alive. Then I pulled out the formation materials I'd taken from Gong Yuan and started setting up defensive arrays around the courtyard. Meanwhile, back at the Black Tiger headquarters, Lu Heihu was meditating when frantic knocking interrupted him. A terrified subordinate delivered the news: his son had been killed. When Lu Heihu heard his son was dead, a terrifying killing intent exploded from his body. He demanded to know who did it. His subordinate told him, trembling, it was someone at the Frost Adventure Team's base. Lu Heihu couldn't believe it. The Frost Team is a nobody team with a leader only at Chi Control Level 6. His son had Elder Hong, a Chi Control Level 8 warrior, protecting him. When the subordinate added that Elder Hong was also killed, Lu Heihu nearly lost his mind with rage. He ordered every Chi Control Realm member of the Black Tiger team to assemble immediately. He swore to wipe out the entire Frost Adventure team as revenge for his son. Within minutes, he gathered his 2 remaining elders and dozens of Chi Control Realm fighters, then marched toward our location. 10 minutes later, the full force of the Black Tiger team stood outside the Frost Adventure team's gates. Lu Heihu's thunderous voice shook the air, ordering Yi Qingshuang to come out and face death. Nearby warriors gathered to watch, shaking their heads. They all agreed the Frost team was finished. Nobody in Thunderstone City could withstand the Black Tiger team's fury. When nobody came out, Lu Heihu lost patience. He warned that if he didn't get an explanation, he'd level the entire place. Then he threw a devastating punch that blew apart the front gate and the walls on both sides. He waved his hand forward and ordered his men to charge in and destroy everything. Lu Heihu punched through our gate and led dozens of his Black Tiger Adventurer team elites rushing into the Blue Frost base. That's when Yi Qingshuang finally came out with her people. She asked him calmly why he barged in like this. But Lu Heihu wasn't interested in talking. He screamed at her to hand over whoever killed his son, or he'd slaughter everyone in the Blue Frost team. Leave no one alive. I wasn't going to let him bully these people. I stepped out from behind Yi Qingshuang and said coolly, while I'm here, you won't touch a single hair on anyone in Blue Frost. He looked at me and asked who I was. I told him straight, I'm the one you're looking for. His killing intent exploded. He called me a bastard and asked if I was the one who killed his son. I shrugged and said his son brought it on himself. Then I made things clear. I told Lu Heihu that from now on, the Blue Frost team is under my protection. I told him to take his people and disappear, or I'd be happy to send him underground to reunite with his son. The warriors watching from outside couldn't believe it. They thought I was crazy. Not only did I kill Lu Heihu's son, but now with the whole Black Tiger team at the door, I still didn't give him any respect. Apparently nobody in Thunderstone City had ever dared to treat Lu Heihu like this before. Lu Heihu went mad with rage. He swore to use all our blood to honor his dead son's spirit and ordered his men to attack. I looked at him coldly and said he really wanted the Black Tiger team erased from this city. He laughed and mocked me, daring me to try. I said I never wanted to kill anyone, but since they were begging for death, I'd grant their wish. And for trash like the Black Tiger team, I wouldn't even need to lift a finger. I formed a strange hand seal and launched it into the air above the courtyard. I called out, Heart Crusher Formation. Activate. Instantly, countless streams of light burst up around the courtyard and surrounded every single Black Tiger member. Lu Heihu's face went pale. He stared at me in shock and asked if I was a formation master. I looked at him without any emotion and said, Lu Heihu, let me show you what a third-grade Heart Crusher formation feels like. The Heart Crusher formation is a third-grade beginner-level array. It's a powerful illusion-killing formation. Any warrior below the innate realm who gets trapped inside will lose their mind, develop inner demons, and go crazy. The moment I activated it, the weaker Black Tiger members immediately showed pain on their faces. Some started screaming crazy things like, You killed my family. I'll tear you apart. Others yelled, I'm the real leader of Black Tiger. Everyone who disobeys me must die. Within moments, they all went completely mad. They roared and started attacking their own teammates around them. The dozens of Chi Control Realm warriors from the Black Tiger team fell into total chaos. The sounds of clashing metal and terrible screams filled the air. In just 5 minutes, every single one of them lost their minds, except for Lu Heihu and one elder at the 9th level of Chi Control. Lu Heihu screamed at them to stop, but it was useless. They were too far gone. Two of the crazed men even turned and lunged straight at Lu Heihu himself. The warriors watching from outside gasped in shock. They looked at me with pure fear in their eyes. They couldn't believe I was a third-grade formation master. Some laughed and said Lu Heihu was a fool for picking a fight with a formation master, and that the Black Tiger team was finished. Those who had been bullied by the Black Tiger team before were especially happy to watch. Behind me, Yi Qingxuang and the Blue Frost members stood completely stunned. They couldn't find words to describe how powerful I was. One move to kill an 8th-level Chi Control warrior, and one formation to destroy the entire Black Tiger team. As time passed, even Lu Heihu started losing his mind under the formation's power. He roared like a madman and charged through his own people like a tiger among sheep, cutting down every Black Tiger member around him. In just moments, every Black Tiger warrior was dead, except Lu Heihu and that 9th-level elder. After killing everyone else, those two turned on each other. They fought for over 100 exchanges before they both ran out of strength and killed each other. The entire Black Tiger adventurer team was wiped out, and I never had to lift a finger. After I used the Heart Crusher formation to wipe out the Black Tiger team, the news shook the entire Thunderstone City. Every adventurer team was stunned. The Blue Frost team now had a powerful third-grade formation master who could destroy a top team with a single array. Overnight, the once unknown Blue Frost team became someone nobody dared to mess with. But while the city was still buzzing about what I did, Meng Qingxue and I followed Yi Qingxuang into the Thundercloud mountain range. Yi Qingxuang had been in Thunderstone City for a while and knew the nearby parts of the mountain range very well from all the missions she'd taken. The journey went smoothly. We only ran into a few monsters along the way, and the strongest were just second-grade mid-level, about as strong as a 5th or 6th level Chi Control warrior. Meng Qingxue handled them easily with her sword without me needing to step in. After about half a day, Yi Qingxuang led us into a dark, eerie valley. She told me this was the place. The heavenly bamboo spirit milk was inside a cave deep in the valley. She said they had come here half a year ago when Meng Qingxue was still with the Blue Frost team, but they had to give up because a peak second-grade nether snow lion was guarding the cave, a beast as strong as a peak 9th-level Chi Control warrior. I looked toward the depths of the valley. Suddenly, a terrible scream echoed from deep inside. I told the others to follow me, and we rushed in. After a few hundred meters, we saw a figure running toward us. It was a boy around 16 or 17, at least 8th-level Chi Control and strength. But he was in terrible shape, covered in blood, his sword broken, his clothes torn to shreds. He begged us to save him, but before I could even say anything, he ran right past us toward the valley exit, using us as a shield. I was about to stop him when a wave of freezing cold wind blasted toward us from deeper in the valley. This wasn't normal cold. Even with my 9th-level Chi Control strength, it cut straight to my bones. It felt like the space around us was about to freeze solid. Yi Qingxuang's face changed. She said angrily that the bastard had used us as bait. She recognized this as the nether snow lion from before. But Meng Qingxue's expression turned serious. She said the aura was far too powerful for a second-grade beast. The nether snow lion must have broken through. It was now a third-grade monster. Yi Qingxuang was horrified. A third-grade beast was equal in power to an innate realm warrior. While Yi Qingxuang was still in shock, heavy footsteps echoed from ahead. Within a few breaths, a massive gray and white lion appeared before us. It stood about 3 meters tall, and every part of its body gave off a freezing aura. Its huge dark blue eyes glowed with a terrifying cold light as it looked down at the three of us. Yi Qingxuang's face went pale. She confirmed it really had advanced to a third-grade beast. I wasn't worried. I said it was just a freshly advanced third-grade monster, nothing special. No matter what, I was getting the heavenly bamboo spirit milk today. Even a third-grade beast wouldn't stop me. Before entering the mountain range, I had prepared a few formation scrolls just in case. Now they were going to come in handy. I pulled out a 3 extremes formation scroll and tossed it into the air. The snow lion was furious that a tiny human like me dared to challenge it. It roared and shot an ice arrow at me from its mouth. I stayed calm, formed a hand seal, and pointed at the scroll in the air. I called out, 3 extremes formation, activate. Blinding light fell from the sky, and trapped the snow lion inside. The ice arrow it fired at me was blocked by the light barrier. The beast went crazy, smashing at the barrier over and over. The formation's light started flickering under the attacks. Meng Qingxue frowned and said it looked like the formation couldn't hold the lion for long. I smiled and told her she was right. The three extremes formation alone wouldn't be enough to kill it. But breaking through would cost the beast a lot of energy. And when it finally broke free, I'd have another gift waiting for it. We watched as the snow lion hammered away at the formation. In less than 15 minutes, it shattered through. The instant the formation broke, I already had the next scroll ready in my hand, one crackling with lightning. I shouted, "Lightning summoning formation, activate." The scroll shot into the sky. In a flash, the clear sky turned dark with rolling black clouds. Lightning flickered inside them. Then with a deafening crack, a bolt of silver lightning crashed down right onto the snow lion's head. The beast had just broken free and had no time to react. The lightning blasted its skull wide open, spraying blood everywhere. The smell of burning flesh instantly filled the air. The lightning summoning formation is a third-grade mid-level attack formation. When activated, it pulls lightning from the sky for one massive strike, at least as powerful as a full-force blow from a fourth-level innate realm warrior. This snow lion had only recently advanced to third grade, and my three extremes formation had already drained about 20 to 30% of its strength. Now after taking a direct lightning hit, it was barely alive. I called out to Meng Qingxue and told her we should finish it off together. I used my sky step technique and stomped hard on the lion's head. No way I was giving it a chance to recover. Meng Qingxue didn't hesitate. She swung her sword and sent a sharp blade of energy straight at the beast's eye. Under our combined attack, the snow lion could only let out a few weak, angry roars before it collapsed to the ground, dead. Yi Qingshuang stood there frozen in shock. Even though she already knew I was strong, she never imagined I could slaughter a third-grade beast this easily. A creature equal to an innate realm warrior, and I had completely crushed it. After collecting our rewards from the lion, we headed deeper into the valley and found the cave where it had been living. Inside, at the very back, I spotted a small pool less than a meter wide. Two milky white stone formations hung from the ceiling above it, dripping a glowing white liquid. The heavenly bamboo spirit milk, exactly what we came for. We spent about half an hour carefully collecting all of it. Just as we were about to leave, a voice came from outside the cave. Someone said, "Brother Lei, the spirit milk is right in here." Several figures walked in. Among them, I spotted a familiar face. The purple-haired boy who had been chased by the snow lion earlier and used us as his shield. He glanced at the empty pool and arrogantly demanded I hand over the spirit milk. My expression turned cold. I told him he was nothing, and I had no reason to give him anything. I reminded him that he would be dead right now if it weren't for us. I saved his life, and instead of being grateful, he brought people here to steal from me. I looked at him with killing intent and said, "You've successfully made me angry. Today, no one is going to stop me from killing you." The purple-haired boy laughed at me. He pointed to the young man beside him and said this was his senior brother Lei Qing from the Zhonglei Martial Academy, a 9th-level chi control expert and a third-grade formation master, known as one of the Academy's best in both swordsmanship and formations. He mocked me for daring to talk big in front of someone like that. I looked at Lei Qing calmly and said having him around wouldn't stop me from killing the purple-haired boy. Then I threw a sky-breaking punch straight at him. Lei Qing moved fast. He stepped in front of the purple-haired boy and crushed my punch with a swipe of his hand. He told me not to treat him like he wasn't there. I told him coldly that I was going to kill the person behind him today and asked if he really wanted to stand in my way. He said since the boy called him senior brother, he couldn't just stand by. Plus, he wanted the heavenly bamboo spirit milk too. I smirked and told him the spirit milk was right here. Come take it if he could. The purple-haired boy screamed for Lei Qing to just kill us and take it. But Lei Qing waved him off. He said he noticed the dead snow lion outside and figured I had killed it with formations. He admitted my formation skills weren't weak. Then he made me an offer. He had a formation. If I could break it, he'd let us leave. If I couldn't, I'd have to hand over the spirit milk. I narrowed my eyes and said that wasn't fair. If I failed, I'd lose the spirit milk. So if I won, he should put something on the line too. The others behind Lei Qing laughed and mocked me, saying I was dreaming if I thought I could break a third-grade formation master's array. Lei Qing pulled out a scroll containing a mystic-grade sword technique called the Thunder Shock Sword Art. He said it was mine if I could break his formation. I agreed and told him to go ahead. He activated the scroll, and a 5-colored light burst out and surrounded the three of us. He told me I could start breaking it now. I chuckled from inside the formation. My voice carried out clearly as I said, "This is what you want me to break?" To be honest, this 5 elements illusion formation is nothing special at all. My dismissive words made Lei Qing's face turn dark. He told me to stop boasting and prove I could actually walk out of the formation. I explained his own array to him. The 5 elements illusion formation uses metal, wood, water, fire, and earth as its foundation to create illusions of all things, trapping people inside so they can never find the way out. But his 5 elements weren't balanced, so the illusions were full of flaws. I told him breaking it would only take me the blink of an eye. Then I simply walked out of the formation with Meng Qingxue and Yi Qingshuang right behind me. Everyone on Lei Qing's side froze. Even Lei Qing himself looked stunned. He never imagined that a formation he spent so much effort creating would be so worthless against me. He admitted it was the first time someone his age had completely beaten him in formation skills. He took a deep breath and asked who I was. I told him my name was Jiang Chun from the Lingyun Martial Academy. He nodded and tossed me the Thunder Shock Sword Art as promised. Then he said he accepted his loss today, but one day he would come to Lingyun Academy and defeat me. He turned to leave with his people, but I stopped him. He frowned and asked what else I wanted. I pointed at the purple-haired boy and said, "You can all leave, but he must die." Lei Qing's face went cold. He told me not to push it. Breaking his formation didn't mean he was afraid of me. I said coldly that from the very beginning, I told them no one would stop me from killing that boy today. Lei Qing laughed angrily and waved the purple-haired boy away, telling him to go first. He said he wanted to see how I planned to kill the boy with him standing right here. The purple-haired boy smirked at me and turned to walk away. I stared at his back and shouted, "You think you can just walk away? Die." I used my sky step technique, teleported past Lei Qing in an instant, and appeared right above the purple-haired boy's head. He screamed for Lei Qing to save him, his face white with terror. But before he could even finish his cry, my foot had already slammed down on his skull. His head exploded on impact. He died without making another sound. Lei Qing stared at the body, then glared at me with burning rage in his eyes. He said through clenched teeth, "Jiang Chun, you actually dared to kill him." I looked at Lei Qing calmly and said the purple-haired boy was just trash. Killing him meant nothing. I told Lei Qing if he wanted revenge, he was welcome to try. His face looked terrible. He knew my strength had reached the 9th level of chi control, and the technique I just used was at least mid-mystic grade. Even he wasn't sure he could block it. In both combat strength and formation skills, I was at least his equal or better. He didn't have the ability to avenge the dead boy. After a long, bitter pause, he told me this wasn't over and left with his people. We left the cave shortly after. Since we already had the heavenly bamboo spirit milk, there was no reason to stay in the Thundercloud Mountains. By evening, we were back at the Blue Frost team's base. After dinner, I went to the room Yi Qingshuang had arranged for me. I took out the Fire Qilin beast egg and placed it in front of me. I poured a bottle of spirit milk over the egg's surface, coating it completely. Then I used the method stored in my mind and formed a hand seal to repair the damaged egg. The milk was quickly absorbed. I repeated this 3 times until the egg was fully restored. My system chimed in. Repairing the egg gave me a huge amount of experience and instantly raised me to a 2nd-grade beast tamer. Knowledge about taming beasts flooded into my mind. Without hesitating, I used the beast nurturing technique on the egg. It immediately started shaking. Heat radiated from its surface and filled the room. Then with a crack, a split appeared on the shell and spread out like a spider web. A small fiery red head poked through and crawled out. The system told me I had hatched a 6th-grade Fire Qilin beast and jumped me all the way to a 4th-grade beast tamer. The little creature was amazing to look at: dragon horns, an ox tail, horse hooves, and faint red scales covering its body. It looked just like the legendary divine beast, the Qilin. The little thing immediately started crunching on its own eggshell and ate every last piece. After finishing, its body rapidly grew several times larger, from the size of a kitten to something much bigger. Its aura was already comparable to a second-grade monster beast. I was amazed. Born with the power of a second-grade beast, this was the strength of a sixth-grade ancient beast with divine bloodline. Truly incredible. After eating its eggshell, the little fire-cheeling beast ran over to me and started acting cute. It clearly felt close to me as the one who hatched it. I patted its head and laughed, saying I'd call it Little Fire from now on. It tilted its head and thought for a moment, then reluctantly nodded. It didn't seem too happy with the name. I was surprised it could understand me. Then I asked if it could shrink its body back down, since it would only keep growing bigger over time. I couldn't walk around with a giant beast following me everywhere. Right away, it shrank back to the tiny size it was when it first hatched. That was much more convenient. After playing with Little Fire for a while, I finally fell asleep after a long, exhausting day. Early the next morning, knocking woke me up. I opened the door and found Meng Qingxue standing there. Before I could say anything, Little Fire shot out of the room and jumped onto her shoulder, waving its tiny claws at her. She was shocked and asked if I had really hatched it. I smiled and said it was easy once we had the spirit milk. I asked why she was here so early. She said Yi Qingshuang sent her. Someone from the Moonscar Trading Company had come to the Blue Frost base and wanted to see me. She was already completely distracted by Little Fire, hugging it without even looking at me. The Moonscar Trading Company was one of the biggest merchant groups in the entire Great Xia Kingdom. They had branches in almost every city across all 9 provinces. Nearly everyone had heard of them, but I couldn't figure out why they wanted to see me. I'd never had any dealings with them. I left Meng Qingxue playing with Little Fire and headed to the meeting hall. Inside, Yi Qingshuang was chatting with a man in his 30s. She introduced him as Chairman Chui Fu, head of the Moonscar Trading Company's Thunderstone City branch. He stood up politely and greeted me as Master Jiang, apologizing for the sudden visit. I told him there was no need for formalities and asked him to get straight to the point. He said his branch urgently needed a formation master to set up a third-grade spirit formation. He asked if I would come help and promised the trading company would reward me generously. After hearing what Chui Fu wanted, I accepted his invitation. The Moonscar Trading Company was incredibly powerful, controlling nearly half the business in the Great Xia Kingdom. Making connections with their people could only benefit me. 20 minutes later, Chui Fu brought me to a courtyard behind the trading company. About a dozen people were already there. At the front stood a white-robed middle-aged man and a purple-clothed young man in his early 20s. Behind them were about 10 people wearing Moonscar uniforms. They looked like second-grade alchemists and beast tamers. Everyone was staring at a giant eagle in the center of the courtyard. Its wings flickered with faint lightning and stretched over 3 meters wide. But its feathers were messy, it was covered in blood, and its aura was extremely weak. It was clearly badly injured. I recognized it immediately, a third-grade Thunderwing Divine Eagle. I was shocked. Was this why Chui Fu brought me here? Chui Fu led me to the white-robed man and introduced me respectfully, calling him Lord Yu. This man was around 40, handsome, and gave off an incredibly deep aura. I could tell he was at least at the innate realm, maybe even the Kaiyuan realm. Very powerful. Before the white-robed man could speak, the purple-clothed young man beside him sneered and asked if I was really the third-grade formation master Chui Fu had found. Chui Fu frowned and confirmed that I was indeed a third-grade formation master, the only one in Thunderstone City right now. The purple-clothed young man laughed mockingly. He said formation mastery was incredibly deep and complex, and even studying for 10 years wouldn't guarantee reaching third grade. He said even among the formation geniuses of the Gong family in the capital, very few reached third grade before 20. He didn't believe I could compare to them. I didn't wait for Chui Fu to defend me. I looked at the young man coldly and asked what business it was of his whether I was a real formation master or not. He glared at me and said the trading company brought me here to help him heal the Thunderwing Divine Eagle. As a beast tamer, he had already made a treatment plan, but it required a third-grade spirit gathering formation. He warned me that if I couldn't set one up, I shouldn't embarrass myself, and if anything went wrong during treatment, the consequences would be more than I could handle. I nodded and confirmed this was about healing the eagle. Then I looked at him with contempt and said, "You want me to assist you? You're not worthy." The purple-clothed young man exploded with anger at my words. He told the white-robed man, he called him Uncle Yu, that he couldn't treat the eagle anymore, and started to leave. Uncle Yu calmed him down, saying Kong Mo was the only third-grade beast tamer nearby, and the eagle really needed his help. Then he turned to me politely and asked if I could give him face and help treat the eagle. I agreed. This man deserved my respect. Uncle Yu thanked me and asked Kong Mo to explain his treatment plan. Kong Mo said the Thunderwing Divine Eagle was critically injured, close to death. His plan was to use a third-grade Thunder Spirit Pill, a third-grade Spirit Gathering Formation, and his own Beast Healing Technique as a third-grade Beast Tamer. He said this combination would restore the eagle. I laughed coldly and said his method was garbage. Kong Mo's face darkened. He demanded to know who I was to criticize a third-grade Beast Tamer's plan. I smiled and told him I could say with absolute certainty that if he followed his plan, the eagle would die. The Thunder Spirit Pill and the Spirit Gathering Formation were both extremely powerful and aggressive. With only third-grade Beast Tamer abilities, he couldn't control those forces at the same time. If he lost control, the eagle in its current weakened state would be killed for sure. Uncle Yu looked surprised and asked if I was also a Beast Tamer. I told him casually that I was a fourth-grade Beast Tamer. Everyone in the courtyard started mocking me. The Moonscar people said I was obviously lying. Even Kong Mo, who came from the prestigious Kong family, was only third grade. How could someone my age be fourth grade? They said being a third-grade formation master was already hard to believe, and now claiming to be a fourth-grade Beast Tamer was just ridiculous. Kong Mo laughed like he'd heard the funniest joke in the world. He said if I was really both a third-grade formation master and a fourth-grade Beast Tamer, he'd write his name backwards for the rest of his life. But when I explained exactly why his method was dangerous, the alchemists and beast tamers from the trading company started whispering among themselves. They admitted I had a point. Using both the pill and the formation together was too aggressive for a third-grade beast tamer to handle, and it really could kill the eagle. Kong Mo's face turned dark as he heard them agreeing with me. Kong Mo was furious. He challenged me to come up with a better method if I thought his was so bad, and threatened me if I couldn't. I said the solution was simple. Replace the Thunder Spirit Pill with a fourth-grade Purple Thunder Mystic Pill. It was higher quality, gentler, had no risks, and worked many times better. I mocked Kong Mo for not knowing something so basic, and suggested his third-grade Beast Tamer badge must have been picked up off the ground. He burst out laughing. He said of course he knew the Purple Thunder Mystic Pill was better, but there wasn't a single fourth-grade alchemist in Thunderstone City who could make one. My suggestion was useless. The others in the courtyard shook their heads too, thinking the same thing. I kept my expression calm and said casually, "It's just a fourth-grade pill. I'll make one. What's the big deal?" The whole courtyard went dead silent. Everyone stared at me like I was crazy. The Purple Thunder Mystic Pill was a fourth-grade medicine. Even in the capital, the alchemists who could make it could be counted on one hand. Kong Mo nearly lost his mind laughing. He asked if I was about to claim I was also a fourth-grade alchemist. I said, "Congratulations, you guessed right. I am." Everyone was completely speechless. They'd seen boastful people before, but never anyone like me. A 15-year-old kid claiming to be a third-grade formation master, a fourth-grade beast tamer, and now a fourth-grade alchemist? They thought it was beyond ridiculous. Even Uncle Yu frowned and told me seriously that he hoped I wasn't just talking big in front of him. I smiled and said he could just let me prove it. Then I turned to Chui Fu and asked if the Moonscar Trading Company could gather the ingredients for the Purple Thunder Mystic Pill. He snapped out of his shock and said yes. I looked around the courtyard confidently and said, "Then please bring me the ingredients. I'll refine the Purple Thunder Mystic Pill right here, in front of everyone." Everyone in the courtyard stared at me in shock when I said I'd refine the pill right there in front of them. The Purple Thunder Mystic Pill was a fourth-grade mid-level medicine. Even well-known fourth-grade alchemists couldn't easily make one. They all thought it was impossible for someone like me. Kong Mo sneered and said he had to admire my ability to brag. He told Uncle Yu I was just a fool who only knew how to talk big, and suggested throwing me out before I got in the way of treating the eagle. But Uncle Yu ignored him. He studied me carefully for a long time. He had met countless people in his life, and he could see that I was completely calm and confident, something rare. He had a feeling I wasn't the liar Kong Mo made me out to be. Maybe I really could do it. He told Chui Fu to prepare several sets of ingredients. I waved my hand and said one set was enough. That made everyone's mouths twitch. Normally, even a real fourth-grade alchemist would fail 8 or 10 times before succeeding once. Only one set of ingredients meant I was planning to succeed on my first try. That was insane. Uncle Yu asked if I was sure. I smiled confidently and said, "When it comes to refining pills, I have never failed." He took a deep breath and called me arrogant, confident, and bold. Then he told Chui Fu to hurry and bring the materials. A few minutes later, Chui Fu returned with the ingredients. I took them, pulled out my pill furnace from my storage ring, and started refining without paying attention to anyone around me. I worked quickly. With my system's 100 times success rate boost, even the few small problems that came up during the process were easily handled. Half an hour later, I formed the final condensing seal. A rich medicinal fragrance instantly filled the entire courtyard. I had done it. A 4th-grade purple thunder mystic pill, refined successfully on the very first attempt. Everyone in the courtyard stood frozen, their eyes wide with disbelief. The alchemists in the courtyard finally snapped out of their shock. They stared at me with awe and said I wasn't just a 4th-grade alchemist. I was far beyond any ordinary one. They admitted every alchemy genius they'd ever seen was nothing compared to me. A 4th-grade alchemist this young was probably unheard of in thousands of years of Great Xia history. Kong Imo stood there frozen, muttering that it was impossible. I smiled and told him nothing was impossible. And very soon, he'd see things he thought were even more impossible. I took the purple thunder mystic pill from the furnace and walked over to the thunder-winged divine eagle. I fed the pill into its mouth, then quickly pulled out materials and began setting up a formation around it. Within a few minutes, I activated the spirit-gathering formation. It surrounded the eagle, and spiritual energy from all directions rushed into the array. Everyone gasped, so I really was a 3rd-grade formation master after all. But I wasn't done. Without stopping, I crossed my hands in the air and performed the beast healing technique, a skill only a 4th-grade beast tamer could use. That was the moment everyone completely froze. They had thought I was just some kid talking nonsense. Now they realized they were the foolish ones. 3rd-grade formation master, 4th-grade beast tamer, 4th-grade alchemist. All 3 titles belonged to a boy of 15 or 16. They couldn't understand how someone like me could exist. Kong Imo looked like he'd taken 1,000,000 hits at once. His expression went blank and his mind was empty. A teenager who could crush 99% of all geniuses in formations, beast taming, and alchemy. He couldn't accept it was real. Even Uncle Yu, a man who had seen it all as an elder of the Moon Scar Trading Company, couldn't recover from his shock. He had met countless geniuses across his lifetime, even from outside the Great Xia Kingdom. But none of them had ever amazed him like I did. He thought someone like me was beyond once in 10,000 years. I was simply the first and the last of my kind. Uncle Yu, who's real, name was Yu Yangzhou, an elder of the Moon Scar Trading Company, clasped his fists and praised me as an all-around genius in formations, beast taming, and alchemy. He thanked me for my help and asked who I was. I told him my name was Jiang Chun from Lingyun Martial Academy. I said modestly that I just had broad interests and dabbled a little in each area. Everyone from the trading company nearly choked. Any one of my skills alone could crush all of them. And I was calling it dabbling. They felt like I was mocking them on purpose. Yu Yangzhou laughed and said with a talent like me, Lingyun Academy would surely shine at the 9 provinces martial tournament in the capital in a few months. Then he pulled out a golden token carved with a crescent moon from his storage ring. He told me it was the Moonscar Trading Company's supreme gold token. With it, I could get anything for free at any branch of the company in the entire kingdom. He said it was a small gift to show his gratitude. Everyone was stunned. Even Kong Imo looked green with envy. In the whole Great Xia Kingdom, the people who held a supreme gold token could be counted on one hand. I thanked Yu Yangzhou and accepted it without being overly polite. He was in a great mood. He'd solved the eagle's injuries and met someone like me. He invited me to stay and let him host me properly. I smiled and told him I had things to do and couldn't stay in Thunderstone City. But I promised that when I reached the capital, I'd definitely visit him at the main headquarters. He understood and said he'd be waiting for me there. After leaving the trading company, I returned to the Blue Frost base, said goodbye to Yi Qingshuang, and left Thunderstone City with Meng Qingxue. A day later, we arrived back at the Jiang family home in Songshan City. I learned that the Lin and Li families had already left the city, and the Jiang family now controlled everything. With no threats remaining, I set up a 3rd-grade defensive formation around the Jiang estate. Then Meng Qingxue and I headed back to Lingyun Martial Academy. The night we returned to Lingyun Martial Academy, Meng Qingxue's supreme deathly body suddenly flared up and she fell unconscious. Early the next morning, I went straight to the Treasure Pill Pavilion to find Tang Sheng. I needed to gather ingredients to refine the ancient mystic yang pill for her. Tang Sheng looked through my list and said most ingredients were available, but two, the mystic phoenix essence stone and the dragon blood spirit ginseng, were too rare. The Treasure Pill Pavilion didn't have them. He said probably only the Moonscar Trading Company would carry something like that. I told him not to bother sending someone. I'd go myself. After all, I had the Supreme Gold Token. I walked a few streets over to a grand, beautifully decorated building with the words, Moonscar Trading Company, written above the entrance. A pretty attendant greeted me with a smile and asked how she could help. I asked if they had the two ingredients I needed. She checked a catalog and a couple minutes later told me I was in luck. They had exactly one of each. I told her to bring them out. But right then, a cold voice came from behind me. Someone said he wanted those ingredients. I turned around and recognized the white-robed young man walking toward me, Bai Zixuan. He was the same guy who had clashed with me at the Qingxian residence and got kicked out by Master Yin Qingxian. He hated me deeply. Before I showed up, he had been the top alchemy talent at the academy and was being personally mentored by Yin Qingxian. I had ruined all of that. Being expelled from the Qingxian residence was the greatest humiliation of his life, and now running into me here, he wasn't about to let me go easily. I stared at him coldly. I told him everyone follows first come, first served. I was here first, and I'd already claimed the ingredients. My things aren't something he can just grab whenever he wants. I warned him that if he didn't want to get thrown out again like last time, he'd better get as far away from me as possible. Bai Zixuan told me not to be so arrogant and asked if I thought I owned the trading company. He pointed out I hadn't paid yet, so the ingredients weren't mine. Then he turned to the attendant and told her he wanted the two items. But the attendant politely refused. She said the trading company had its principles. I had claimed the ingredients first. Bai Zixuan's face darkened. He pulled out a token and showed it to her, saying he had a Moonscar VIP token and that she should sell the items to him instead. The attendant looked troubled. She didn't like his attitude, but the company had clear rules. VIP token holders got discounts and priority purchasing rights. And people who carried those tokens weren't someone a simple attendant could afford to offend. Other customers in the hall started whispering. They recognized Bai Zixuan as the young city lord of Lingyun City. They felt sorry for me, saying anyone who went against him in this city was asking for trouble. The attention made Bai Zixuan even more arrogant. He shouted at the attendant to hurry up and bring him the ingredients, threatening to have her fired from the trading company. Her face went white with fear. I looked at him coldly and said it was shameful for the young city lord to openly bully a woman. I told him she wouldn't be fired, and he wouldn't be taking my ingredients. I gave him 10 seconds to disappear, or I guaranteed he'd be thrown out of the trading company. He laughed and waved his token around proudly, asking who would dare throw out a Moonscar VIP member. I glanced at his token. It looked a little like the one Yu Yanzhou gave me, but his was just a bronze token, the lowest level of VIP status. Compared to my Supreme Gold token, it was worthless. I smiled at him with contempt and said, "That's just the lowest grade bronze VIP token. What makes you think you have the right to show off in front of me?" Everyone looked at me like I was an idiot. The Moonscar Trading Company was the most powerful merchant group in the Great Xia Kingdom. Even their lowest bronze VIP token was a symbol of status that most people could only dream of. Bai Zixuan laughed and asked if I'd lost my mind. He mocked me, asking if I could pull out a silver VIP token to outrank his. I told him I didn't have a silver token, but I could still make him get out. He glared at me furiously and said he'd show me who would be the one leaving today. Just then, a commanding voice echoed through the hall. A middle-aged man walked in, Wu Jiannan, the chairman of the Moonscar Trading Company's Lingyun City branch. Bai Zixuan immediately told Wu Jiannan that he'd come to buy the Mystic Phoenix Essence Stone and Dragon Blood Spirit Ginseng, and since he had a VIP token, he had priority purchasing rights. He asked the chairman to throw me out. Wu Jiannan smiled politely. He said the trading company welcomed all customers, but since Bai Zixuan held a VIP token, he did have priority. He was about to order the attendant to give the ingredients to Bai Zixuan. I stopped him. Wu Jiannan looked at me and asked if I had an objection. I said yes. I saw those ingredients first, and he couldn't sell them to Bai Zishuan. Bai Zishuan sneered and asked who I thought I was. I said calmly, I got you thrown out of Yin Xingxuan's residence before, and today I can get you thrown out of this trading company too. Then I pulled out the supreme gold token that Yu Yangzhou had given me. I placed it in front of Wu Jiannan and pointed at Bai Zishuan. I asked simply, Chairman Wu, does this token give me the right to make him leave? Wu Jiannan's eyes locked onto the gold token. His face filled with shock and cold sweat started dripping down his forehead. He couldn't believe a young man like me was holding the Moonscar Trading Company's Supreme Gold Token. The Supreme Gold Token was the highest level VIP token the Moonscar Trading Company had. Holders could get anything for free at any branch and had authority equal to a company elder. Very few existed in the entire kingdom, and most outsiders didn't even know such a thing was real. Wu Jiannan had worked at the company for over 10 years and had never seen one in person until now. He immediately changed his attitude. He stood before me like a nervous child, bowing and apologizing for not recognizing my status earlier. Everyone was stunned. By Zishuan, the other customers, all of them. Wu Jiannan was one of the most powerful people in Lingyun City, almost equal to the city lord himself. Yet after seeing my token, he was treating me with total respect. Nobody could understand what was happening. Bai Zishuan finally recovered and shouted that the company didn't have any gold tokens. Mine had to be fake. Wu Jiannan glared at him coldly and said he knew better than Bai Zishuan what tokens the company had. Then he told Bai Zishuan he was no longer welcome and ordered him to leave. Bai Zishuan was shaking with rage. He screamed that he was a VIP member and that a mere branch chairman had no right to kick him out. I was losing patience. I told Wu Jiannan his work was too slow. I wanted Bai Zishuan thrown out immediately and my ingredients brought to me. I had no interest in wasting time on this. Wu Jiannan's body tensed at my displeasure. Without another word, he appeared beside Bai Zishuan in a flash. Bai Zishuan tried to protest, but before he could finish his sentence, Wu Jiannan grabbed him by the shoulder, lifted him up, and hurled him out the front door like a piece of garbage. The entire hall went silent. Everyone stared at me in shock. The young city lord of Lingyun City had just been thrown out of the trading company because of a single word from me. After Bai Zishuan was thrown out, Wu Jiannan rushed to have the Mystic Phoenix Essence Stone and Dragon Blood Spirit Ginseng brought to me as fast as possible. I took the ingredients and left the trading company while Wu Jiannan bowed and smiled behind me. With all the materials gathered, I went back to Lingyun Academy to start refining the ancient Mystic Yang pill. This was a 5th grade pill, extremely difficult to make, and I only had enough rare ingredients for one attempt. Even with my system's 100 times success rate boost, I had to be extremely careful. Every step from warming the furnace to adding ingredients was done with total focus. Just the ingredient adding phase alone took me half an hour. But when I added the last ingredient, the Scarlet Flame Fire Phoenix Blood, something went wrong. I put in slightly too much, and the liquid inside the furnace became violently unstable. Without hesitating, I threw in an ice soul grass to cool things down and shoved my hand directly into the furnace to pull out a trace of the excess phoenix blood. My hand immediately started smoking. The phoenix blood's energy nearly burned it to a crisp. My system chimed. Getting injured triggered a new ability. I unlocked something called the Invincible Body Refining Technique, and it instantly reached the 1st level. I ignored the notifications and kept my eyes locked on the furnace until everything settled down. About 10 more minutes later, the phoenix blood fully merged with the other ingredients. I formed the condensing seal and successfully refined the ancient Mystic Yang pill. Only then did I look at what I'd gained. The Invincible Body Refining Technique had 9 levels. Each level made my body stronger, with defense and recovery power doubling each time. At the 1st level, my physical body alone could match a Chi Control Realm warrior. At the 2nd level, I'd be able to take hits from an innate realm fighter with just my body. For most people, this technique would be nearly impossible to train. But for me with my system, it was simple. Every time I got hit or injured, the technique gained 100 times the normal experience. I tested it by punching my own shoulder. Sure enough, the system gave me experience. I got excited and started punching myself all over my body without stopping. After beating myself with my own fists for a while, the Invincible Body Refining Technique quickly reached the 2nd level. I could feel my body was now countless times stronger than before. With my current defense, even a normal chi control warrior probably couldn't break through if I just stood there and let them hit me. With that done, I took the ancient mystic yang pill to Meng Qingshue's room. I gave her the pill and stayed beside her to watch her condition. When I saw the pill was actually working to improve her supreme, deathly body, I finally relaxed. Then an angry shout came from outside, someone demanding I come out. I walked out and found Meng Dongxing standing at the entrance of my courtyard, furious. A crowd of students had already gathered to watch. Some whispered that Meng Dongxing was crazy for coming after me again since I'd beaten him with one punch last time. Others said he'd actually broken through to the chi control realm since then, so maybe it would be interesting. I smiled and asked what all the yelling was about. He glared at me and demanded to know what I had done to his sister. After I'd beaten him last time, Meng Qingshuo had given him a second-grade pill. He'd recovered from his injuries and broken through to the chi control realm. But the moment he came out of training, he learned his sister had become my servant. He was furious and came straight to confront me. I shrugged and told him his sister was my maid now, so I could do whatever I wanted. I said since he was my maid's little brother, I'd let him off easy today and told him to leave. He was shaking with rage. He challenged me to a duel. If I lost, I had to set his sister free. I told him he wasn't my match and should come back after 10 more years of training. He said he'd already broken through to the chi control realm thanks to my punch last time and dared me to fight him like a man. I said I just didn't want to waste my time. I asked if he knew that even his sister couldn't beat me. He refused to believe it and insisted I must have tricked her somehow. Then he told me to stop talking and come to the arena. I told Meng Dongxing that for his sister's sake, I didn't want to bother with him. But since he insisted on coming to get beaten, I'd give him what he wanted. I stood with my hands behind my back and told him to attack me right here. This time, he could hit me and I wouldn't fight back. If he could push me back even one step, I'd admit defeat. The students around us went crazy. They thought I was insane. Meng Dongxing had broken through to the chi control realm. Surely, he could at least push me back one step. They thought I was being way too arrogant. Meng Dongxing was furious at being looked down on. I told him it wasn't about looking down on him. He simply didn't have the strength to make me take him seriously. I told him to hurry up and attack, or stop wasting my time. He roared and launched himself at me. His fist gathered powerful energy and came straight at my chest like a bolt of thunder. I didn't move. I didn't even activate my inner energy to form a protective barrier around my body. I just stood there with my hands behind my back. Everyone watching couldn't believe it. They thought I was crazy. Even an innate realm expert supposedly couldn't take a chi control warrior's punch with their bare body without moving back. His fist slammed into me with a loud crack. Meng Dongxing grunted and stumbled backward 7 or 8 steps. I stood exactly where I was, completely relaxed, not having moved at all. The crowd was in total shock. Not only had I taken his full punch without stepping back, but the impact had actually sent him flying instead. They couldn't understand how any human could have a body that strong. They said my physical toughness was even greater than some second-grade monster beasts. Meng Dongxing stared at me in shock and asked if I had trained in a body refining technique. He said he'd used full power in that punch, but instead of pushing me back, he was the one sent stumbling. His fist even hurt, like he'd punched a stone statue. He knew no chi control warrior, or even most innate realm fighters, could have a body this strong without special training. I confirmed it with a smile. Then I told him to keep going. Same deal. If he could push me back one step, I'd lose. Honestly, I was hoping he'd keep hitting me. His punches as a chi control warrior gave my invincible body refining technique way more experience than punching myself did. A few more hits, and I might reach the 3rd level. The watching students were amazed that I'd trained in body refining. They said that path had declined long ago on the Shinwu continent because the techniques were extremely rare and hard to practice. They couldn't understand how I'd gotten this strong. Meng Dongxing took a deep breath and said he wanted to see just how tough my body really was. He raised his energy to the maximum and unleashed his strongest martial technique, the yellow-grade high-level Sky Python Fist. A ferocious energy python burst from his fist and slammed into me. The rebound force was several times stronger than before. He was sent flying back several meters, and his face went pale. I shook my head and mocked him. I said his punch felt no different from a scratch. He was furious. He pulled out a sword that looked quite impressive and prepared to hit me with his absolute strongest attack. But just then, a cold voice rang out behind him. Meng Dongxing, stop it. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough?